Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Thursday, June the 14th, 2018. It's another Technical Alpha podcast. It is the podcast immediately following E3, which means, ironically, there has been both a lot of news, but it's also news that we've kind of already covered. So we're going to try our best to just kind of piece together a podcast this evening and maybe just go over some of the things that we saw. And there have been some other things that we can talk about as well and do our tech support and be on our way, which is fine because if it doesn't run too long, I'm not going to complain because for whatever reason, my body has decided to allow yet another virus to attack my throat, which just seems to be a very common thing this year. With me, and so it won't kill me if this isn't a 3-hour long podcast. But first, because this is our first time with only Jeff and I, while using Discord, I'm gonna let Jeff somehow fill maybe a minute and a half of dead air, while I, with a trackpad, set up his camera on the overlay that we're about to get up here. Mr. Black, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Just chilling. Just took a chill, and Adam's face has gone crazy. So,
and for if you see the stream, there's a very good reason.
Wow.
I don't. What just happened?
Whoa!
What is going on? What is this? Okay. Crisis management. You just go ahead. You just keep.
All right.
You keep doing your thing.
Well, there's not really much exciting going on with me today. I just streamed Realm Royale, the newest battle royale, out in the sea of royales out there. And then just took a shower and had some chicken. And here I am.
Great, I'm done. You did it.
All right, cool.
Good job.
Perfect.
That was some crazy shit. I don't know how that happened. That's actually really weird. I have like an idea of how it happened, but that doesn't make any sense. When I did the E3 like special events overlay, I just copied one of our other scenes, but copying a scene should not retroactively change every other scene, but yet it seemed to have done that. So anyway, we're back in action. Let me just do this
Where's
real quick.
Panic at? He's doing something.
Panic is off making sure that his black tar heroin ring is doing well.
Oh, okay.
Today, you know, it's a very dangerous job, and once in a while you got to stick your neck out. You got to go down with a bunch of your grunt workers, and make sure that the product is still in check, despite the fact it's black tar, which basically means that there is no product inspection. It's just fucking anything goes. You have to make sure. No, he messaged me a while ago saying that he was possibly not going to make it because he's going to a movie. I'm not sure. I can't remember which movie, but it is a movie.
Okay.
I'm not actually just sure which that is. I'm going to take a sip of this water. You know what my least favorite thing about having a sore throat is, other than the fact that it's already my least favorite thing in the world, having a sore throat? Water no longer quenches your thirst because your throat is consistently dry all the time. I could drink 16 liters of water and it makes no difference. My throat feels exactly the same. It still feels like I'm parched, and I hate it. It's like being stuck in the Sahara Desert with nothing but your Bear Grylls, dedicated piss jar to drink from. I feel like I may or may not. One sec. This is going to look weird to people at home a little bit. I just need to turn Jeff back up from when we were on E3. There we go. I'm just going to guess. Whoa! Nope, we're good. Technology. It's a difficult thing to deal with. So E3 happened, Mr. Black.
Yeah.
It came, it went. There were many games, But there were also many games that never showed up at E3 that people were expecting to show up at E3. You and I didn't get to go over everything. We spent the Bethesda the Bethesda conference together. So outside of Bethesda, did you see much of E3? Have you at least caught like some trailers here and there? Like, have you seen much going on in your feed?
A few things. Like I watched the Last of Us stuff. Saw some of the Spider-Man stuff. Basically, I only watched the Bethesda and like the Sony, like not all of Sony, but like the good Sony stuff.
Well, there was, in fairness to Sony, what they showed was all pretty good because, well, they only brought like 4 games.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a lot of risk with Sony. It was kind of just you got some good stuff. So from E3 in general, what you did see, or maybe what you didn't see, I don't know if you even had expectations for maybe like there was a game coming that you thought maybe you'd catch a glimpse of that you didn't. But if you did see Sony, what were your thoughts on their conference from what you saw? What games stood out for you? So was it just like The Last of Us that kind of stood out? Or
yeah, there's that Strange game, Stranger or whatever the fuck it's called, the one with what's his face from Walking Dead.
Oh, Death Stranding.
Oh, Stranding.
Death Stranding with Norman Reedus.
Yeah, that's his name.
And Hideo Kojima.
Yeah, that looks pretty good. Or it looks different anyway.
It looks like a really dangerous UPS delivery simulator.
Yeah.
It's basically what
I don't know exactly what the game's about, but...
Nobody does. I'm not even sure Kojima knows what it's about yet. I think he's just winging the shit, and then when it hits the streets, he's going to come up with some really like fancy description of what that game is supposed to be.
But yeah, those were really the only 2 big games that... Oh, there was a samurai game too that looked pretty cool.
Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, that looks pretty cool.
That did look pretty good. It was cinematic as fuck, dude. Did you see like the full...
I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched the trailer.
Yeah, they the trailer was, depending on how long it was, it might have actually been the same thing that they had at the conference. I don't know. But first, what they did was they brought out a really epic flute player, just next level. Came a white dude. People were already like, oh, they're whitewashing the fucking, Japanese pan flute. It wasn't even a pan flute. It was like a I don't know what it's called. I can't think of the actual name of it, but it's like a traditional wind instrument. But it's like a flute recorder thing. Anyway, people are bashing him and shit. Then he starts playing, and they're like, "Okay, so he's a little good." And then he gets to this he gets to the point where I'm no joke. It sounds like the Ron Burgundy jazz flute segment of that movie where he's going so fast, it's like, and I could just see Ron Burgundy like fucking like sliding underneath urinals and shit, just fucking like going off. And people were like, "Oh shit, this is fucking epic!" And the guy just like did his thing, and then he like calmly bows and walks off stage. It was like a standing ovation, 10 out of 10, epic flute guy. It was amazing. Then they have this big Ghost of Tsushima. It wasn't even a trailer. It was like a mixture, like there was gameplay and stuff, and it was good. Like if you have like a hot minute to sit down and just watch it if you thought the trailer was good, holy shit. The game is, the only way I could describe it when I was watching it is it looks cinematic as hell, like super, super cinematic, and very intriguing, and the combat looked good. But yeah, for sure, I agree. That game looked pretty good. And I'm also kind of interested in the Death Stranding thing, like everyone else, I guess, because how can you not be interested in a game that kicks off the start of basically every trailer with a baby crawling around inside what could only be a throat? Like, it's just like how it's just crazy. And every time you see it, we get more information, but you're just left with more like questions. It
could be the inside of a vagina.
That's also very true. We got birth canal just like rolling around in there, but just crazy. And it looked, when I say looked good, because we didn't really see a lot of gameplay. We saw a lot of walking and climbing. Graphically, it looked fantastic.
Well, the thing is, I find with this sort of era of games on the Sony PlayStation is I find they're all starting to look the same. I find that the color palette they use, the graphical engine that they use, the scenic, everything just kind of looks a little dark, a little like I don't know if it's all because these games are sort of post-apocalyptic or there's not much civilization, or it's stranded. It's very like you got a character and the surrounding, and it's like the surroundings is a character in itself. And I find that the environments in these games are starting to become more and more of the characters. I feel like they're just relying on beautiful graphical realism, and to the point where they're using just motion capture for every story-driven game there is. They're just paying a reputable actor and laying it out there, and then they're turning it into a video game. Something that we'd put as like a short film or a small Netflix series. They're like condensing it into a video game, and they're having an actor go in there, and we're basically playing a movie. No, I wouldn't even say a movie. It's not really at that level of production, but more of like a Netflix series, like a decent Netflix series,
a B movie,
and it's like it's almost like there's not much heart to these things anymore. Like there's not much soul. Like it's a bunch of I don't know. It's the better the graphics are getting, the more I can appreciate like how real and shit awesome it looks, how beautiful it is. Like that's the first thing that came out of your mouth is like it looks.
Well, it's because that's all we really saw. Unfortunately,
exactly.
There was no gameplay really shown.
Yeah. But I mean, even still, like a lot of the gameplay that we're getting from these, it's not even a lot of gameplay. Like we're just seeing engine and story being smashed in our face. And even when I play these games, even when I play a game like The Last of Us or I don't know what's another game that's out there. I didn't get to play God of War or anything like that, but I find that a lot of these games are enjoyable, but I find the gameplay is good, but it's a small little section of gameplay that is repeated over and over and over again, and it's just to bring the story. It's just to get to the next cutscene, and that's how I feel a lot of the gaming is going. It's like the more graphics we get, the less and less I'm getting. I'm getting like I don't. It's hard to put in. It's hard to articulate what I'm trying to say. It's good and it's bad. I feel like we're losing
more time.
Losing something like with gaming.
More time is being spent on the audio visual delivery than it is on
actually playing engaging
gameplay.
Yes, exactly. That's probably the better way to put it. But you never know. I mean, some of these games might come out and it might be amazing. But every time I watch it, I just feel like I'm watching these Netflix shows. Like I feel like it's like, oh man, that's a really cool idea. That looks really great. And that's almost like I'm forgetting it's a video game. And then, it comes out and it's like an 8-hour, 12-hour movie.
Yeah, well,
show.
I can totally get on board with what you're saying in that there's almost a genre that's developed now where that coincidentally spans multiple genres to a degree, where the effort put in to make it feel like you're part of a movie ends up hamstringing their ability to actually allow the player to just play the game. So I guess like the way to you're right, it's hard to describe. It's not the easiest thing to be able to put into words, but Naughty Dog games, specifically I'll say The Last of Us, even though I've not played it, just watching, I know what it's like, and if you played the original Last of Us, right?
Yeah.
So you'll be able to tell me if I'm not far off on this. But Naughty Dog, and this is just a stylistic choice by Naughty Dog, but other companies do it too. And even the latest God of War game kind of looks like they do this to a degree, where so much they're trying really hard to bridge the gap between like kind of the jank reactions that AI has to the environment and to the player character. They're trying to make it like seamless so that it looks like a trailer more than a game.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
like when you're watching the Last of Us 2 thing from E3 and you're seeing this fights play out, if that was actual gameplay, that is the most fucking seamless shit I've ever seen in my life. Like it just looks like, because it looked like a cutscene.
It's scripted. It's scripted.
It looks scripted, but like that's Naughty Dog's thing, is that they for forever with the Uncharted and I think more specifically with Last of Us, is that they're trying to cross over the gap between not scripted and scripted, but make it visually look scripted, but play like a game.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of other companies are trying to get over that hurdle as well. But the methods that they use to get over that hurdle of playing not scripted but looking scripted, the various ways in which they try to attempt that usually ends up making the game feel sterile as fuck.
Well, it's even like in games like Last of Us and pretty much every God of War, pretty much all these games now, they're relying on those action cutscenes where you're clicking square and your right trigger. It's almost like everything. It's the game is forcing you into a sequence, and it needs to play like a scene from a movie, except that if there was a director filming a scene, they would do multiple takes, and you get to choose as a player between 3 different takes. They all ultimately usually end up in the same place. They have sort of the end never really changes. There might be some things in the middle, on maybe a guy breaks his leg before he gets killed. Maybe a guy has his arm ripped off before he gets killed. Maybe the guy survives.
This guy's having a really bad day no matter how we slice it.
Yeah. Maybe he survives the attack and gets the better of your character and then runs out and gets hit by a car. Ultimately, he still dies.
Wow, even when he wins, he loses.
Exactly. So it's like it's quick time events. Exactly. So it's like it's pretty much, and I'm okay with all. Like, I'm not complaining. I'm just talking about
it's
this.
Becoming a bit. It's becoming a bit more ubiquitous. It used to be a bit like more specific to certain games, and now it's like everyone's trying to do it.
Yes. And it's like I feel like where they're like, oh man, you've got infinite choices, and whatever you decide to do will shape the world forever. And that's not really true. It's you're giving me choices, but those choices ultimately lead into the same place, and it never really feels like I have a choice, even though I have choices. Like, you're forcing my hand, and even in the middle of a fight scene, like we saw in The Last of Us, there'll be this crazy action sequence going on. They're like slow panning the camera, and it looks amazing. And like, a bottle knocks over, and someone's like, "Oh, who's that?" And then you walk around the corner, and a guy swings, and as he's swinging, it goes a little slower for a second, and you got to click square or right trigger, and then when you click it, you do a barrel roll, and then it's just this one long sequence that's really cool, but it feels so scripted. It feels like an interactive movie, and I'm down with that. But I think it's running its course.
I think we can safely thank QuickTime events as being the genesis of this whole thing.
Yeah,
because QuickTime events represented the first major way, anyway, in which a developer could accomplish a cinematic gameplay, because all they're asking, they're going to show you this really epic thing that they wouldn't be able to do if you were wholly in control of what was happening. Reduce it to a timed button press, and now they're theoretically making you still feel involved in the process, but really they're just showing you a canned sequence that they just want to do because they want this thing to be particularly epic. And then they took that idea and now it's just everything. Remember, there was like 3 to 4 years where it was just nothing but quick time events. Every game.
Resident Evil went balls deep in quick time events. I feel like a lot of these games that are coming out, and Naughty Dog as well. Listen, I'll buy anything that Naughty Dog makes because they just make really great stories. And
they do it better than everyone else in terms of like what we're discussing right now.
Like, and the quality's better, the gameplay is good. Everything is just great. But I find that a lot of these games now are the gameplay really isn't all that great. It's just an interactive storytelling. And I guess you could say that's what video games are, but it's not what it used to be. It's not. Back in the day when I used to play like Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 8, Final Fantasy 9, just a few of them, just to name off, just say Final Fantasy.
Just Final Fantasy.
Just Final Fantasy, right? Now I know that an RPG game and a 10-hour story game are two totally different things.
Yeah.
But we used to get those cutscenes where it would be you'd play a video game for a long time. You'd listen to these random cutscenes and in the in-game graphics without the CG shit. You'd do a bunch of battles. You'd travel. You go around. You'd explore. You'd do all this stuff. And then when they wanted to drive the story, there would be a cutscene where you'd literally wouldn't touch a thing. You'd enjoy the
exposition dump.
Yes, you'd enjoy it, and that was sort of what really pushed the story. Now it's like the story is being pushed from the beginning. Like, they'll hook you on the first scene, something traumatic happens, somebody's wife dies or some shit. Like, there's this crazy shit that happens, and the character is like all bubbly and happy, and then the next scene they're destroyed and distraught, and they're an alcoholic, and their beard is big, and they're just like they're giving up on life. And their rent's due, and they're about to get an eviction notice on there, and they've got that one friend that keeps showing up and says, "Come on, man, you gotta come out, man, you gotta change your life." Hey, I'm not. My life is over. They took everything from me. And then like it runs into a beautiful woman at a bar or some shit, and then it strikes a chord, and now they're gonna go look for the killers, and they go in, and then there's an underground mafia, and then they go through, and then you're just playing this like. This B-rated John Wick film, and it's like it's cool, but what happened to the old school gaming where it wasn't just about
I think for me, like for me there is definitely a better balance than what we're getting. We're still kind of running to the extreme end of the when you said interactive storytelling, if interactive was on one end of the spectrum and storytelling was on the other end, we went from the early days of gaming where we were almost wholly interactive in terms of just straight gameplay, and fucking Mario's a plumber saving a princess from a fucking drugged up dragon crocodile dude, and then now we're running the other side of the gamut now, where we're into the storytelling mode, because that's what people have been asking for. Is we want more engaging story and character, and so the developers have been playing this balance game, and right now I feel like we're the scales are tipped in the storytelling side.
Like, I hear a game like The Witcher, like I've never played The Witcher 3, but I hear that is like amazing gameplay and then amazing story, and it all just kind of comes together, right? And I feel like a lot of these franchises are just trying to get people emotionally attached to characters by great actors and good competent storytelling. and then boom, they've got a hit on their hands, and everyone's like, "Oh man, you got to play this game." Like I have people asking me to play these random ass games, like even these Telltale games, for example, that are legitimately interactive.
Yes, yeah,
like literal interactive storytelling. That's not even. It's almost like a child's book where you open up the pages and all you're doing is like you're clicking a button and it's going to a certain page, and that's the show, and that's cool, and they market it like that, and it's great. But
shout out! Sorry to interrupt you. Shout out to Choose Your Own Adventure books growing up. Just
fire books.
Fire.
Books.
All right, continue.
And people are like, they're so attached to a story that's what sells the games. Like that's the word of mouth, where it's like it's no longer about, man, you should see the insane different types of moves you can do as Spider-Man, right? The amazing ways that you can kill your opponents and sling off webs, and how fucking crazy the gameplay has gotten, man. This is a real Spider-Man game. But instead it's like, dude, you're not going to believe what happens to this character. I don't want to spoil. It's like an episode of Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah,
you gotta watch this shit. It's like, do I gotta watch that? That's the thing is that's what I'm doing, is I'm watching something. I'm not really playing. It's you play for 15 minutes. Your character, like in this other game where it's showing all the scenic stuff, you're walking in this area and you climb a mountain, and then there's a cave, and you walk in the cave, and then there's a cutscene, and you might be interactive with it. And then you run into some weird species or whatever, and then the story starts, and now it's like, oh, where's the species' parents at? Let's go find them. And then you go on a little journey, and then now you got to find a way to climb down this mountain. And your character falls and busts his ankle, and now I've got to make a sling, and now you're going in the woods and you're finding a fucking you're making but that's literally what these games are. Your character struggling, he's like and you're breaking a stick, and it looks so real, like, oh fuck, and
every game
back in your place, and you're
every game is the Revenant, where you're eating a bear heart. That's basically
that's literally what the game is. Video games these days are it's the Revenant in terms of gameplay. What you can do, you can go around, you can hunt your stuff, you can cook them on a little fire. You got to make the fire and rub sticks together, and you get salty at it and shit. And then you make it, and you eat, and you go around, you find a tribe, and you marry a native woman, and everything's great. And you pop out a baby, but the baby dies from a bear. And now you got to go fight the bear. And then there's like, a bad mafia man or whatever. And it's completely, that's what it is, right?
I like how we found a tribe and married a native woman, and then there was like a fucking Italian mafia shows up out of nowhere and that shit. Why not?
Why not? So anyway, that was a little bit of a tangent, but
I get you.
They look cool. The games look cool. I'm not hating on this stuff. I'm just saying it's hard for me to get super excited about games, because ultimately it's whatever to me. It's like, I'll enjoy it. I'm sure I'll play these games and be like, that was pretty cool.
I think that part of it is, at least this is my estimation, is that a lot of the best game developers, or perhaps just people that are or developers who are considered to be by many the best game developers, are those that are focusing on that style of game, right? And the only real developers that are focusing on more of the other end of the spectrum, it's pretty much Nintendo.
Yeah,
right?
That's it.
Everyone else is chasing that, storytelling thing where the gameplay, and that's probably why games tend to a lot, or not all games, but the mainstream AAA, whatever, and even the just not even AAA, but like most of the B games, they're all following the same formula, chasing the same prize.
You literally just nailed it. You like, when you really think about it, Nintendo, they're the only ones that are making like legit video games. It's actually crazy, because I put in something like Mario Odyssey, and the gameplay is fucking incredible for a Mario game. The best Mario ever made, and I am a Mario 64 fan boy. The only game I can watch be speedrun. I love it. I could play it a million times over. Odyssey is incredible, and Nintendo have been making even Zelda. You look at something like Zelda, something that they could just fall into the same tropes as everybody else and make a realistic story-based. I mean, Zelda has its story, Mario has its story, but ultimately it's the gameplay. It's the adventure. It's the actual playing of it and going on this journey, and you're in full control of what is happening. And there's the odd cutscene, but it doesn't the cutscenes aren't like supposed to be these big things. It's just to help the story a little bit, to give the viewer, the player, a little bit of a break, and to see what these characters are doing. Maybe there's some voice acting. I know in Zelda they had like the first bit of dialogue or whatever in Zelda, but
yeah, the Japanese VO was okay. The English was a little rough, but that's okay.
But it's true. Like Nintendo are making video games, and the other ones are making interactive shows that just so happen that you could play, which is cool. There's obviously a massive market for it, and I'm even a buyer myself. But yeah, you definitely nailed it. Nintendo is the only ones that's staying true to the old school.
Well, they might not be the only ones, but they're the front runners, right? Like they would be the Naughty Dog of that end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Right? And there's not a lot of people chasing after them. There's a bunch of people chasing after the Naughty Dog kind of end of things. And, so in this, I mean, it even applies to shooters at this point.
Yeah.
Even the shooters are going that road, right?
Why do you think that all these games, it's almost like this. It's almost like they're making these games in hopes that they're creating an IP that can stretch for not only video games, but for movies and TV adaptations and novels. It's there, and you see it. Like you look at Nintendo. What Nintendo games other than the Mario Bros have we got in a movie format? We look at everything. There's been talks. The Witcher's being made on Netflix. There's been talks of The Last of Us.
If we ignore everything that Uwe Boll has been a part of, which everyone should, because nobody should watch his movies, then yes, there is a very short list.
Short.
There's Silent Hill, Warcraft, Hitman, Mario Bros from the 90s.
But now
Assassin's Creed.
Now it's the talk of almost everything that's out now wants to be a Netflix, because they see it as a video game and they go this is a why can't this be a show? I can see this actor playing this, and a lot of the times there's an actor already playing in these shows. Same with Tomb Raider. You look at Tomb Raider, the newest Tomb Raider is verbatim a copy off the video game, the newest type of video game. And, it works to an extent. It's not the greatest movie, but everybody is trying to make these. And even The Last of Us, when Hugh Jackman was rumored to potentially play the main guy in the first Last of Us, and then like Gerard Butler was then rumored to play that role. It was like people were just putting all this together. Same with the guy from Game of Thrones, Lannister, the one that's fucking his sister, Jamie.
I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but I know who you mean.
Jamie Lannister is rumored to be going to be playing The Witcher, right? The main guy from The Witcher. And you can see it, like that's
Dave Bautista is supposed to be Gears of War. Marcus
Gears
Phoenix.
of War, exactly. Yeah. That would be a good one,
dude. They have a Photoshop picture of it. He is Marcus
literally
Phoenix.
Looks like him.
Yes.
He's got like the shoulder.
He's already built for
it. He's just a big dude. Like and he said he wants to do it too. So
why not?
I mean, he would be perfect casting. But yeah, for sure. I mean, and that's because for this time in video game history, where we're seeing, I think executives are seeing the story. Like they're not seeing the video game, they're seeing the stories, and they're like, we can tell this on a medium that mom and dad can go and watch and enjoy, that don't have to play the video games, because these stories are so good, or even just so mediocre, right? They pull at all the right strings that people can relate to and identify with, that they want to go and make these into shows. And that's what we got at E3 this year.
Anytime you're going to get, the ability to stretch an intellectual property beyond one medium into multiple is definitely going to be taken up. I mean, games and books have been hand in hand for a really long time, and games and movies have been hand in hand for a really long time, just not to any, particularly huge success. So, and again, and like you were saying, now with games being even more involved in their story writing, and games are hiring some good ass writers.
Yeah,
to do their
Hollywood
stuff.
people.
So
Hollywood people are going in there.
So you're gonna get Hollywood level writing in these games, and so why wouldn't they try and make the jump across? But yeah, I think that's ultimately it. I think that it's just a matter of that's where a lot of the market is right now. Chasing, that end. Nintendo like, I'm not in that race, bro. I'm over here making video games. I'm not making movie games. I'm making video games. Like we've been playing for the last.
Thank God they're doing it well too, because
40 years.
You'd be fucked if they weren't.
Yeah, it's just and I'm happy they still do it. And I think if I had to extend this one step further, I think it's also why we see games that get hyper popular, like they are the games that they are. So Minecraft, when it took off, ain't no story rocking around Minecraft doing anything like that. I can tell you that much. And like Fortnite would be the latest one for that. And PUBG. The whole market of battle royale. You're looking at games that don't need a story. It's all gameplay all the time, and that's
also indie games, right? You see indie games like Cuphead and other random indie games. I keep going back to like Braid or Ori and the Blind Forest, which now we're getting another one of those, which looks great. Where you're actually playing games. You're like, people get excited because it's something. Something fresh.
Indie games just do a better job of bridging the gap between storytelling and gameplay. Like a Braid, obviously had its gameplay, but it was, I mean, the guy who made Braid is very much into himself and very much about writing shit that he wants the world to think he is some sort of artistic genius. So like there's the thing there, and Ori much the same, very beautiful from an artistic perspective, but the gameplay doesn't leave. When you're doing an indie game, it tends to stick around for whatever reason. Yeah. And thank God that's the case. Like just tonight before the podcast, because I'm sitting here and I know that I'm getting sick, and I'm not going to get like as sick as I was before the move. That'd be terrible. But I was just sitting there, and when I'm sick, I look for I don't know if anyone else is like, I'm sure people are. When you're sick, you look for a different type of game than you usually play every other day. You need something you can play when you're low energy, and you just want to sometimes you want to turn your brain off. I end up looking for like turn-based like city builders or like puzzle adventure games and stuff. I'm not moving very fast, so I don't need to be thinking very fast. That's the stuff I look for. And you go looking for it, and you'll find like there are still a lot of games being developed that just don't make it to the forefront, that are totally gameplay focused. They just don't run it up at E3 like all these other major games do. But beyond that, what
else was there at E3?
You didn't get to see Microsoft's thing. I can give you the rundown though, because I wanted to just do a quick pass by through most of the major conferences. So Microsoft didn't show up in the way that I think Microsoft needed to show up. So old Phil Spencer came out on stage, and he, in fairness to Microsoft, they gave the most E3 ass conference out of everyone. So like when you think of an E3 press conference, there's a very specific kind of like businessy edge that you expect to see, and Microsoft's the only one that gave like that old school, for better or worse, the old school E3 press conference. But Philly went out there and he gave me the same speech I've heard him give for 3 years in a row now. And it was a whole lot of, here is our vision and gaming is so awesome and we're on the bleeding edge of whatever and he just talked about like a whole bunch of bullshit. And then they led with Halo 6, which is called Halo Infinite, on a new graphics engine. And so we got like this little
Did they show gameplay?
No. Well, they showed panning of, so we know what the game is going to look like from a graphics perspective because they like did some panning shots and stuff to show you what the engine's capable of in game terms. Yeah. We saw Master Chief at the end. So for those people who like Halo to include Master Chief, because in all honesty, for a lot of people, Master Chief is Halo. You remove him from the equation, you're not really playing Halo at that point. You're playing a generic ass fucking space shooter. So that was comforting to see. But they led with that, and then we just got basically everything else that we thought we were going to get. We got, Gears of War. We got Forza. It wasn't a mainline Forza. It was Forza. It was another Forza Horizon, which, in fairness, again looked dope.
Saw that.
Looked
dope.
I saw that. The team, look, and we'll get. I'll talk about it in a second here. But Playground Games, the people who do Forza Horizon, they pump out some serious fire. Like they make some really, really good video games, which is nice. But yeah, that and Gears of War. We saw Crackdown 3, which looked like a pile of ass.
I saw that too. Yeah, I saw it too.
Running at 4 to 5 frames a second in N64 glory, with nothing but the power of Terry Crews yelling at me to make me feel good about what I was watching. That was it. And it's 2019 now that it's getting pushed back. I'm still not convinced that game's coming. I think it's going to get canceled. And if it gets released,
it's going to burn.
I feel bad for Terry Crews because now he's going to have his name attached to something that's just shit. And we don't want Terry getting attached to shit because Terry's too good of a guy to be getting his name dragged through the mud like that. It's just not cool. So we didn't really see a hell of a lot until they had this little segment where they talked about how they acquired a bunch of studios.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so they've got 5 in total. They got the people that I can't remember all of them off the top of my head. I actually have the notes here because I wrote many. Found them. All right. So they led with Undead Labs that did one of the zombie games.
Yay.
Yay, zombies. Fuck. And then we got Playground Games. So that was the biggest one of the list.
That's a good one.
So Microsoft picking up Playground's actually dope. And they really needed something like that. And I'm happy they picked them up. And on top of that, he wanted to specify that they aren't just going to be perpetually pumping out Forza games until they're all 90 years old and on pensions. He said that they're going to be currently building a unnamed open world game. So we're going to get to see Playground Games do open world in some capacity. That'll be a hell of an experiment. We'll find out, I'm sure, in the future about what that's about. Ninja Theory, which is the team that did Hellblade, which was an indie-ish game that did very, very, very well and was received as such. Compulsion Games, which did We Happy Few, which is that perhaps
that weird Tim Burton type thing.
Perhaps too real British game, reminding everyone that the world fucking blows in great fashion. And that was okay. So that was it. Oh, there was The Initiative, which was a created studio under their brand. That is all we got was it's a new studio focused on new game experiences. Whatever the hell that means, I don't know. I don't know if Phil knows, but he said it, and so we'll find out in the future. But all that told me is a couple things. One, Microsoft is slowly getting itself back into the we make video games for a video game console mindset. And two, with what they showed off at E3 and the fact that he also mentioned future consoles. So he didn't specify, but he's like, hey guys, there's another Xbox coming. Yeah. Right? That tells me they have officially conceded this generation.
It's over.
And they are gathering their
resources
resources
now. Yeah.
for the next one. They're getting ready for war.
They're licking their wounds right now, and now
Yes.
they're prepping. Now they're prepping to win the
Yes.
next the next
or at
line
least
of
be
consoles.
or at least be competitive.
Yes.
Because right now, I think that's their goal is let's be competitive because they're getting outsold by PlayStation 4 2-1.
Yeah, it's bad.
That's
It's
rough. And they've sold like an earth-shattering 160,000 units in Japan. So shoutouts to Microsoft Xbox One for just
Jeez.
slaying it across the pond.
Yikes. A little bit of bias over there, but still, that's bad.
I mean, the 360 had trouble breaking into the market there too, but 160,000 units like 4 years deep.
That's bad. That's bad. I probably could have sold more than that going door to door.
Yeah, that's rough.
That's bad.
That's rough.
That's really bad.
So that's what this conference told me. So it wasn't exactly something to write home about in the, we've got so much awesome stuff coming or whatever. It's you're going to get your mainline shit. It is coming, absolutely. And it's going to run well and look great on the Xbox One X, and you still have your backwards compatibility and all that stuff. The Xbox Game Pass had a lot of value. We discussed that. A lot of value, which is also fantastic. But ultimately, it was a concession. Hey, guys, look, we got fucked hard in the beginning of this generation, and we tried, but we need to go away for a bit now. Yeah. And then in a couple of years' time, come out, and then hopefully we can blow your socks off. But right now, we're not even putting our own socks on. So we need to just hold up for a bit. And get that going.
Well, it's like you're adding all of these companies. Like, I'm sure that because I was thinking to myself when they're adding all these different divisions and with making under this umbrella, I'm like, it is 2018. The new consoles are probably going to be out in 2021, 2020, right? Unless, and they've just acquired these to our knowledge. I mean, unless they acquired them a year ago and now they're just, announcing this, it takes them a while to create a video game. And in a lot of cases, it's a couple of years to crank out something worth playing, especially if it's going to be the first game that this division is going to come out with. It's got to come out with in a bang. This can't be some shovelware bullshit that you're going to put together and slap it out there and put a $59.99 price tag on it. So I was just thinking to myself, I was like, okay, well, this has got to be for the next generation of consoles because there's no way they're going to dump all this money, make a few games, say maybe 3 or 4 games in the next 3 years, 2 years, and release it for the Xbox One. What's probably going to happen is they're developing games now for the new console, and it will be cross-compatible with the Xbox One. So there'll be a new game that'll come out, and it on its release, it's saying, hey, you know what? It's going to be released on this first, whatever, maybe both at the same time, and they'll be able to release it on the Xbox One, or they may go, you know what? This console's dead, and I'm sorry, guys, which I don't think they should do because it is going to be 2021-ish by the time the next generation consoles come out. You better be able to play Xbox One X games on the new generation console. Same with the PS4. If they come out with the PS5, which is inevitable, and you can't play PS4 games on the PS5, stop the madness, right? They are. Do you think they're gonna the consoles are gonna go? Are going to go, okay, you know what? If you got the old shit, you got the old shit. We're going into 5, and that's the show. Do you really think that they're going to go that far? Like, because I don't think the hardware is going to be significantly different. It's going to be beefier.
Well, once they changed, once the newer consoles all kind of changed over to x86 architecture, which is basically what Windows is built on, right? x86. What that signals is the difficulty. Now, I'm not a programmer genius, but this was discussed when it was first announced that these consoles were making that change to that instead of like super ultra proprietary fuckery. Now, that doesn't mean that there isn't still some proprietary hoops that people have to jump through when they're porting a game from, let's say, the PlayStation 4 to the Xbox One to the PC, etc. But what it does mean is that it's a hell of a lot easier than it was in the past. And what we're seeing with the Xbox One and the Xbox One X being, games getting added, for example, even from the original Xbox, it would be odd to me if they weren't backwards compatible with this generation's games. But it's really hard. It's really hard to say. I would lean towards yes more because the Xbox One X would have, by the time the new consoles come out, only really have been around for about 3 years.
Yeah.
And it's an expensive purchase, and I feel like you're going to lose a lot of goodwill if they were to take that route. I don't know how they're going to bridge it, but it would be probably wise for them to do. And again, given the way that things are built these days, it should be better or easier for them to do that. We'll find out. I think we're going to see new consoles 2020.
Ooh, 2020?
End of the year, 2020 for Microsoft. Microsoft needs a hard reset more than Sony does. And Sony has said that they don't plan on they haven't said anything about new consoles. They just said that they don't have plans on stopping supporting PlayStation 4 for a very long time. But the moment that the other pulls the trigger,
it's
you
on.
You don't have a choice.
You
really.
gotta go. Yeah.
You gotta go.
You gotta go.
Whether you have games or not, if somebody has a new box, it's going to shift people. So, yeah, I would say 2020 earliest. 2021 would be a safer play.
Yeah.
But by 2021, these boxes have been around for a real long time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, Xbox One released in what, 2015? I think.
Yeah, it might even been 14.
Late. It might even been like end of 2014 or something. It was a while ago. So to stretch that to 2021 would be, even with iterative stuff like the Xbox One X, would be, damn.
That's a long time.
That's a hefty in between. So tough call, but I'm going to say 2020, 2021 latest on that stuff. And it also gives us a rough idea of when Bethesda's going to release. Starfield is probably going to be closer to the new console releases. It might be a launch title for some of these things. That also gives us a timeline for Elder Scrolls 6, probably 2 years after Starfield drops.
Bethesda won E3.
Bethesda won E3 with a couple of JPEGs that they just throwed up on screen that said, "Yeah, we're making Starfield, and yeah, we're making Elder Scrolls 6." And that's all they needed.
You gotta say that that little skit they did there with that was funny
Peele. with Jordan Peele was hilarious.
Jordan Peele was amazing. That shit was funny as fuck.
It was perfect, and what makes it better is that it's real.
It is real, and there's so many people on Twitter I saw like playing Skyrim on their fucking on their Echo or whatever the thing's called.
No, it's the Alexa.
Alexa, that's it.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna lie, it's basically a pen and paper RPG at that point. It's just Alexa is your dungeon master.
Yeah. No, it's cool.
I'd play it.
I liked it. I thought I'd fuck with it too.
Yeah. So, that's I would agree. Bethesda did for me because I'm the type of guy that for E3 I like a mixture of games that are coming soon and games that are like a fucking just out there. But I like to know that they're coming. I just like to hear it. Even though in my heart I knew that the Elder Scrolls 6 was going to happen because it's going to make them $1 bajillion every time they release one. Not having them tell me that it's coming and then seeing another Fallout game makes me very nervous as to when I'm going to see the next Elder Scrolls game. And so even though they didn't give me a release date or a ballpark or anything, but they just put that shit up on screen, that gives me the hope that I'm going to see it before I have 6 children, 8 grandchildren, and be on my deathbed, which is all I need to know. And
it's coming. Don't worry, it's coming.
It's coming. So that's why Bethesda kind of like wins if there's anything to win for me, just because of the mixture. I think in reality, Sony technically wins because the games that Sony had. There was one game or 2 games that were weak sauce. And the rest of it is actually just such pure fire that it's impossible to contest. So I'm just gonna get the unathletic bullshit right off the list right now. Black Ops 3 free with PlayStation Plus, that was a mention. Who gives a fuck? Off the list. After that, we had Trover Saves the Universe, which was some Rick and Morty fuckboy bullshit. Get that off the list. Nobody needs it. And then after that, you could make and the Destiny 2 Forsaken expansion. So who gives a fuck? So you get those 3 off the list. Done. Everything else, I want you to just listen to this list of games that they had here. The Last of Us 2, Ghost of Tsushima, Control. That's a Remedy game. Guys who did Max Payne. Resident Evil 2 Remake.
How many times are they gonna remake Resident Evil 2?
Well, this one's a full rebuild from the ground up. Did you not see any of this?
I watched the I didn't hear if they talked about it, but I saw the little trailer that they did with the zombie and the character there.
It's Resident Evil 2 remade from the ground up with a Resident Evil 4 combat system.
Ooh, Resident Evil 4 combat system.
Over the shoulder, yeah.
I like it.
Kingdom Hearts 3. Death Stranding. Neo 2.
Ooh.
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And then FromSoft making a VR game. Guys who brought us Dark Souls making a VR game. That was the list. And then in the middle of some here, Epic Flute guy. Oh, an Epic Banjo guy for The Last of Us 2. So we had Epic Banjo, Epic Flute, and then just a list of just fire games. And all of them were coming out before I was old and gray. So like it was just stuff that's just coming real, not too far in the future, and pretty much exclusively fire. So from a technical standpoint,
they won.
Sony wins. Yeah. But because Bethesda told me that they're making a space game, and they're making...
Dude, Skyrim in space would be fucking awesome.
And they're making Elder Scrolls 6. Now they just win. Because they said... And they're not even like... It was like moving JPEG images. They weren't even real trailers. No gameplay, no nothing. No date.
Yep.
That's it.
That's the show.
Todd Howard came out and said, bitches, we've got a fucking Elder Scrolls game on the iPhone. Play it in portrait mode. PvP and shit. Free game. We're going to put it on the PC and consoles just because we can. And everyone was like, all right, I wasn't following you at first, but now it looks pretty dope.
When I first saw mobile, I was like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. And then he started playing it and I was going, whoa, wait a second. All right, that doesn't look bad. Whoa, okay, that doesn't look bad. Oh, it's going on PC too and you can take all your shit over there. Okay, that's starting to sound pretty good. Oh, okay, you got your own town and shit.
It's getting better and better.
That also sounds pretty good. Oh, okay, there's some PvP shit over there. All right, that's starting to sound pretty fire. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to get raped by microtransactions and I don't care because it's going to be fire anyway. Yeah. Okay, that sounds pretty fire. That was pretty much it. I was like, you know what? It's like the reality of it is I highly doubt I'll ever sit down again and really play an Elder Scrolls game. But I'll sure as fuck open up my cell phone and fuck around in the world of Skyrim or whatever Bethesda's Elder Scrolls, whatever they're calling it, the Elder Scrolls Origins
Blades.
Blades, that's it. Blades. I'll fucks with that on a casual shit.
You're gonna need a new phone. If you don't already have an iPhone X, just casually tossing this out there. If your phone didn't cost as much if your phone didn't cost as much as your first car, you're not going to be able to play this game.
Good news. Most phones cost as much as your first car.
Yep, so that's a great
you're probably
news.
Not out of luck.
Yeah, you might be able to swing it. If your phone was made after the year 2026, you can play this game. Just wait. It's coming. Don't worry about it. For everyone else, just play it on the PC. Just wait. Play it on the PC. What else do we have? Oh, Ubisoft's conference could be surmised by a fat, bearded French guy that fell over intentionally onto a podium for all to set up a really shitty one-liner pun. That was Ubisoft's press conference. Except Shigeru Miyamoto was there, and you're always happy when you see Miyamoto.
Like three sentences in English, and then he was like, "I'm going to pass over here."
Actually, he spoke 3 different languages, and then Eves was up there trying to speak English and French, and just couldn't make it all happen. And then they had like an awkward old man hug and walked off stage together. I mean, I guess in reality, Ubisoft's conference had a couple of things that were like almost mildly interesting. Division 2 looks like the Division 1. I'm kind of salty about that. I've stopped caring about Division 2 now.
It literally looks
identical,
like an expansion. It's like if they just like, hey guys, we got a new story mode that you're going to be able to download. There's the Division 2.
Sponge.
Yep.
Bullet Sponge. That's what it should be called. Division 2, the Bullet Sponge continues. Skull and Bones actually looked pretty crazy. It's that pirate game. I don't know if you saw it. It's basically ship combat, and they couldn't possibly put more cannons on these ships if they tried. Actually, I think if it was reality, they'd all be sinking. Just the sheer weight of the amount of cannons and the amount of just balls that would have been on that ship to make it happen. But hey, it looked dope. I actually, in my notes here, I have for Skull and Bones, I said, fucking cannons, the video game. This is my thing there. Oh, Elijah Wood showed up.
Oh, how nice of him.
Yeah, for Transference, that like psychological game that we saw last year as well for a brief moment. He showed up and showed basically as much as we saw last year. So, nice. So really, it was just an excuse to bring out Elijah Wood.
It was him to get a $50,000 appearance fee.
Yeah, that's basically how that went. So that happened. Starlink is basically No Man's Sky, except you spend like $300 on plastic toys that attach to a controller. And there's a Star Fox crossover exclusive for the Switch.
No thanks.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey looks an awful lot like the last Assassin's Creed, except in Greece. It looks pretty. I mean, it looks more interesting.
Give me Assassin's
than the other
Creed
one.
in space, and I'm in.
That's coming. Don't worry. Mark my words. Coming. It's coming. Other than that, we had the PC gaming show with Day 9. There was a whole lot of just whatever. Wasn't really anything major there. Your favorite game made an appearance. Star Citizen has Alpha 3.2 coming soon.
Alpha. How can they still say that and keep a straight face? Hey guys, we're showing off Alpha 3.2. It's like, Jesus fuck, aren't you $300 million in and fucking 6 years deep? We're in Alpha 3.2, motherfucker. You can't even give us a beta?
I still think my favorite thing that has come out of that in recent times is when they announced that that there is a pack available where you can buy almost all of the ships, almost, not all of them, just almost all of the ships for $27,000. I want to reiterate that it's almost all the ships. That's not all of them, Jeff, for $27,000. That's actually almost all of the ships.
I would rather go to the grocery store, dollar store, whatever, and buy a container of toothpicks. Fresh toothpicks. They come in like packs of 50, 100. And one at a time stab my knob. Before I would spend $27,000 on Alpha 3.2 to almost get all of the ships in Star Citizen after those greedy fucks have already made over $100 million. How in the sweet mother of Christ can you legitimately even put in an option How do you actually buy that shit? Because now we're not even talking credit card transactions. You have to go to the bank,
a wire transfer.
You got to like do a Swift transaction. You got to go in and sign off. You got to remortgage a house, sign off money, have your financial advisor try and tell you not to put that money into whatever you're about to put it into. Wait 72 hours for the shit to confirm, and then receive your ships. We're not even talking about regular buying here. This is like going to a dealership. This is something you'd put on a 7-year finance. Am I going to buy a legit vehicle that I can fly one day from this game? That's fucking retarded. Pardon my French, but it's retarded. How can you put a $27,000 option on buying ships? You got to go to the bank and do a wire transfer. I've spent less on down payments on houses.
Well, in fairness, Jeff.
No.
What can a black?
No, there's no fairness.
What can a black credit card get you in terms of credit these days? Can you get $100K on a black card?
You could, but I don't think the bank is going to allow you to do that in one swift transaction. You're not fucking Kanye West. Like, Jesus Christ, man. That's just so stupid. How do they even show their faces? Just end the game. We know you're not going to come out with it. You filthy, dev, rich mother, greeding, sucking fucks. Just leave. Just leave and take your money. Go buy a yacht. Go fucking take the money and help Elon Musk actually go to space. Jesus, you could fund like 3 trips to Mars, actual Mars, before you actually go to Mars in this game. It's retarded. And there's people out there that are actually spending. Listen, you want to spend your 26. Listen, if you're fucking rich as fuck, okay, I get it. All right, I get it. You're rich as fuck. You're a nerd baller and you want to spend $27,000 on shit. If you can afford to do that and that's something you want to do, go spend your money the way you want to spend your money. Listen, you work for your money or you inherited your money or however you got your money. You robbed a bank. I don't give a shit how you got your money. But listen, if you want to spend that money, go spend it. But for the love of God, how do you, as a developer, how do you even give that option to people? It's one thing to have some ships that are like $1,000, which is still retarded. But to have the audacity, the balls, to make it one large lump sum package, to take it all at once, almost. I mean, not all.
Almost, not all of it.
Almost. Don't worry, you'll be able to get those ones.
If it was all of it, Jeff, they'd be hitting your cervix. So it's just almost. It's just almost.
How do you physically put? How do you do that? How do you type in the code to put in that price tag and hit enter and put it out to the ethos? How do you do that?
This is what they did. They sat down at a meeting one day drinking their like $800 Starbucks order. And then they said to themselves, somebody just piped up and said, guys, what if we just put out a pack just for the fun of it, see if somebody was dumb enough to buy it, of almost.
You think somebody actually
ships.
bought that shit?
I guarantee it. I'm telling you right now. Dude, there's already multiple people that own all of the ships. They just bought them individually like plebeians instead of waiting for the fucking pack.
They fucked up. They could have got a 5% discount, those dumbasses. And which, you know what? That's probably like 70 grand. 5% bought a house.
5% on $27,000 is a fair chunk of change.
God, 27 grand, dude. 27 G's on some digital ships.
Oh, it's just nuts. Absolutely nuts. Nintendo had a conference, Jeff. Well, it sort of did.
God.
They didn't do a hell of a lot. They had Pokemans there. That was the thing. They're redoing Pokemon Yellow with the Hello or Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee. You don't really fight in this game. You only fight when you're in the gyms. So you battle people that, like the trainers that you'd have to battle in the gyms leading up to the gym leader. But when you're outside in the world, it's literally Pokemon Go. You see the Pokemon walking around in the grass. It's not random encounters. And then when you get in, it's Pokemon Go with like the berries and everything, and the
No, I'm good.
Pokeball throwing mechanic and all that. And then you only battle in the gyms.
No, I'm good. No, I'm good. Already went on a Pokemon rant last time we talked about Pokemon. Now I'm way out. Now they're going, and now they've gone. All right, you know what? We're gonna take 5 steps back here. We're going back here, and no, I'm sorry, Nintendo. I know you want to be PG, you want to be Disney and friendly, and you want the 8-year-olds out there fucking skipping around, and they want the Pokemon Go experience.
But this isn't really for the young kids. This is the remaking Yellow. This is the original reach. This is a nostalgia trip for the 30-somethings, late 20s that played it growing up. So I don't know. I don't get it. If you're not going to have fighting in the wild, like why even have it in the gyms? Just make it Pokemon Go, the secondary video game. It is connected to Pokemon Go. You can transfer your Pokemon from Pokemon Go into the like Pokemon Go little. There's an area. Then you go in. You can't use them immediately. You have to go into the Pokemon Go area, and then you have to catch them in the game. Then you can use them. Theoretically, meaning that people who have been religiously playing Pokemon Go for like the last year or so are already going to have pretty much the entire stable of Pokemon available in the game right off the rip if they so choose.
Oh, yay! Nothing for us to do anymore. Yay! Let's go to the gyms.
Do their thing. It looks good. It's graphically what you would want a Switch version of Pokemon to look like, but it's not Pokemon yet. So hopefully whatever is coming in 2019, the next mainline game looks like this graphically and is actually Pokemon and not whatever the hell satanic clusterfuck they're gonna
make Pokemon Snap, where you're just gonna start taking pictures of Pokemon and putting fucking emojis on the background and using filters,
Instagram filters. Like,
dude, bro, I'm telling you, they
already missed the train with that with the Wii U. They literally had the fucking tablet. It was in. Like as a camera, they had won. The game was there. The Pokemon Snap game was written in the stars, and they fucked it there. If they don't have Pokemon Snap on the Switch, then I think they've actually just lost it. They've gone off the deep end. Anyway, Pokemon's was there. Big shocker on that bad boy. Fire Emblem. If you're into Fire Emblem, that was there. Fortnite. Coming to the Switch. Reggie Fils-Aimé, the best joke of the entire thing. Reggie was up there doing his Reggie thing, the pre-recorded Reggie bits. Mm-hmm. Reggie looking like Mr. Rogers, the ethnic version. And he actually was like Fortnite on the Switch, and he was like, I'll see you on the battlefield for Fortnite. Like, bitch, Reggie, you ain't never played Fortnite more than 5 minutes in your life. You played it at like a fucking...
You played it in the hotel last night when they told you should probably play this game before you come up on the stage.
Nobody's watching Reggie stand there doing his like classic fingers have to be touching while he's talking. Like every time he enunciates and his fingers do this. Old Reggie, except it's down by like his stomach. I'll see you on the battlefront for Fortnite. I'm Reggie. Like that's basically Reggie. Nobody was watching you, Reggie, thinking, I love you, bro, but nobody was watching you saying, yeah, I'm totally going to run into Reggie on Fortnite on the Switch.
No, not a chance.
Not a chance. Not happening. Other than that, they showed a whack of random shit nobody gives a damn about. Then they showed 4 to 5 seconds of Octopath Traveler, which made me sad because I've been waiting to see more of it. Square Enix didn't show anything. Nintendo didn't show anything. Yay. Then they did like 4 to 5 hours of Super Smash Brothers content.
Yeah.
So there was no and they had Super Mario Party in there. Not that we needed to know that they were going to do that, because obviously they were going to make a Super Mario Party game for the Switch. It's good news. It's coming if you were looking for it.
Spoiler.
No Metroid news from last year where they announced it. No Kirby. No Yoshi. No Animal Crossing. No Waluigi for anyone.
I thought for sure we would get Luigi's Mansion for the Switch.
Yeah, nothing. Nothing. They just showed a whole hell of a lot of stuff with Super Smash. To be fair, this Super Smash looks really good.
Looks good. Oh yeah.
But that doesn't make up for the massive gaping hole in games that people would have expected to see this year, given that they announced them last year. Just nothing. Not even a passing glance. Not even a JPEG. They didn't even give us a Bethesda. Just a canned image that some artist drew up 24 hours before the show. We didn't even get that. We didn't even, nothing. Didn't even open their mouths. So there you go. And really, how Waluigi isn't in Smash is the most depressing thing I think I've ever seen in my life. They put Daisy in that game.
Ugh.
And there's like 70 characters. And Waluigi is not in the damn
You
game.
never
Wario
know.
is in there.
It might be in some bonus characters, right?
If they DLC his ass, that would be so.
Maybe you get to unlock. Deep. Maybe you have to unlock the character or some shit. I don't know. Anyway, decent E3. Decent E3.
It happened. Yeah. It wasn't too bad. There were some games, I'm sure a lot of people were looking to see that didn't show up, but pretty good overall. Better than last year, by my estimation. Last year was a gong show. So, not bad overall. Not bad. Beyond that, Mr. Black, you've been playing a good chunk of Realm Royale.
Yeah.
You want to give me your thoughts on Realm Royale?
Realm Royale is Fortnite with no building.
Great.
That is legit what it is. If you like Fortnite and you hate the building, or you find it too tough, or you just don't like it, the concept, Realm Royale is going to be the game you're going to want to play. It's just really quite that simple. It's actually genius what they did. They already had the engine. This is off Paladins. Even when the game was like even further in alpha, they were using the Paladin characters as like to try around and like,
they're being smart. Hi-Rez isn't like an enormous studio, so they're making use of their assets. They're doing well with that.
It's pretty well optimized. It's smooth. It's polished for an alpha. They're doing a great job at updating the game. Massive update patch yesterday, which helped the game a lot, and then broke the shotguns to all shit like Fortnite. But apparently they had a hot patch tonight on the shotguns, so hopefully they're fixed up a little bit because it was getting pretty crazy. But also, this just came out. The game's like a week out in alpha, so you're just gonna have these
it's gonna
issues
happen.
Of balance. It's just that's just how she goes, right? But I love it. I love the hell out of the game. I would play the game full time for sure.
I played six or seven rounds of it yesterday, and won one of the 6 or 7, and other than the obvious shotgun memes, which is just everyone's using a shotgun because it is hysterically broken.
Oh, it's bad. Yeah.
It's beyond that. I think it's a good base. It's got a good foundation. It is an alpha, so that's what it is anyway. But it feels like it's missing something for me. And I think part of that is because it is basically
Fortnite.
Them taking, no, not necessarily. No, I mean, they're like taking Paladins and turning it into a battle royale. With the when you have a class-based system like that, it makes me feel like I'm playing the wrong genre for some reason. It like I feel like I should be working with my team to a goal that's more than just eliminate everyone else. It makes me feel like I should be playing like a point capture type shit, like Overwatch, right? Like it's almost like that where everyone has like such varying abilities. That's kind of the feel that it gives me. But since that isn't there and it's just a battle royale, it feels like the gameplay is missing a step somewhere. But like you said, super polished for an alpha. The shooting is confident and it feels good. And it's very rare that I've seen. I watched a bunch of. There was a night where they were paying basically every headline. They must have spent $5 billion fucking dollars. Every headliner was playing the game in one night, and I bounced between them all watching them play this game. It's very rare that you see a shot that goes awry, that you're like, that should have landed,
Yeah.
There's no crashing. There's no real desync. There's no real hitbox issues. There's like minor little gripes. It doesn't even feel like an alpha. The shit feels like a beta.
Doesn't. Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So,
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying where it feels like something's missing, but I don't fully agree with needing to add anything else because
I don't know if it needs to add something. Just for me,
yeah,
based on the roles.
Yeah, the role
game.
thing. And I like the roles. I think the roles aren't meant to really be played in terms of a team-based sort of objective type thing, like you're saying, because it's a battle royale. And the reality of it is, even in Overwatch, you have a team of people. Same with Paladins. Well, we'll say Overwatch because we both play Overwatch.
Yeah.
You got a team here, and it is a team-based game where you need a support. You need a blah, 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 blah. But everybody in the game, unless you're in Masters, Grandmasters, everybody just wants to play team deathmatch. Nobody wants to fucking work. It's like these team-based things, in our perfect world, we visualize an epic like King of the Hill, and you and me and two other guys are sitting up there, and I'm putting down turrets and you're repairing the turrets, and we got this sniper in the back picking people off, and it's a race against the time, and everybody's doing virtual high fives, and we're cheering each other on, and we get the victory. But the reality of it is it's a clusterfuck. No one's listening to anybody. Everybody wants to go and steal the chicken kill. Nobody wants to work as a team. People like, dude, I see this all the time. Like even when I play with my buddies, you play a game and you're on a team and everybody's shooting. Say there's me and you on it and two other randoms, right? And we're against another team of 4. And I managed to pick somebody off and it turns into a chicken. All right. For those that don't know, when you kill somebody, they turn into a chicken, and then you got like 30. Basically. It's a down thing, and you can jump around as a chicken and get away. You'll have somebody on your team that will chase that chicken down and try and get a kill so they can rack up kills. Right? It's like, oh, I've got 5 kills.
The thirst is always like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like that's the reality of team-based games. Yeah. You can't stop that. And that's why shitty players will always stay shitty, or good players will just stay good. They won't get great. Is sure, mechanically you can shoot some stuff, but this isn't who can rack up the most kills. It's who can win and be the last one there. So instead of going after the kill, why don't we shoot off the other guy first? Or why don't you get my back here while I heal? But instead you're fixated on getting, it's like League of Legends. You're playing League of Legends and a guy is almost dead and his partner's there, but instead you want to go and chase and do a tower dive to get a kill. But yet we could have just killed the ADC that was sitting there, but instead you went, now you died to the tower, now the ADC cleans up, he gets more, and now the bot lane's fed. All because you wanted to kill. And that's what happens in team-based games. That's why I love the fact that, sure, there's different classes so that you can have different types of experiences within the deathmatch. And, of course, there are actives that you can pop to help heal each other, shield each other, those sort of things. And that's always great to have. And there's some strategy involved in there. But it's not an objective-based game. And that's what I like about it. They're already building more classes now. They just tweeted out, so they're going to have more classes out. And they're also going to have 3 legendary weapons for each class. So when you go to the thing, you're going to be able to choose which one of the 3 legendary weapons that you want to have. So there's just a whole bunch of different variety in which you can. And I love the fact that it knows what it is. And the moment that you try and make this a cooperative experience, doesn't matter if it's a squad, if it's a duo, anything like that, you're going to have the community turn into a raging fuck cesspool of AIDS. That's what it's going to be. Everyone's going to be fighting with each other, blaming each other. It's, you have to pick this class. I'm picking this class. No, I want to play Hunter. Well, no, bro, I main Hunter. You're going to play Engineer.
That's
we need the healing
totem.
totem.
That's going to happen anyway.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because people ultimately, the casuals and everyone else, they want to go down and kill people and be the last one standing. That's it. It isn't advertised as a team-based game. It isn't advertised as a cooperative type squad thing. Now, at the high level play, at the competitive level, you'll be forced to do that because everybody's so god tier with everything they do. You're going to have to strategically move into forges and strategically pick certain items to get first. And the person who manages to get a gold chest plate will have sort of an upper hand on someone that doesn't. And those minute things will ultimately decide who has the handicap and who doesn't. But in a general wave of people that are playing the game, dude, all they want to do is go down and kill shit. They want to be the last person, or they want to get a bunch of kills before they die, and then want to take a screenshot that they got 15 kills. And that's amazing. Listen, the more kills you got, the better. It's how you secure the kills and actually being a team player when you're in a team-based game. That's how you win games. Because ultimately, you want to be the last one standing. It's not team deathmatch, but everybody does it. So I'm with you. It does kind of feel like something's missing because we have classes and we're so used to when there are classes and teams that, well, why would you have classes if we're not going to work together to advance our position or to make it to give us the one up on a team of four hunters. Why wouldn't we have an assassin, a mage, a hunter, and an engineer and work together? And you are the far range guy, and you're going to heal us, and you're going to shield us, and you're going to be the brute, you're going to be the muscle. Why wouldn't we do that? Well, in a perfect world, sure. I mean, that might even work. But also in an alpha like this where things are broken, there is none of that shit. It's like, everybody pick warrior, everybody grab a shotgun, everybody go kill. That's the show, right? So that's where it's at right now. But I love it. I absolutely love it. I wish that there was bigger viewership for it for me, because I would grind the living fuck out of it. I just think a lot of people are also just BR. They're fatigued of it. It's getting the point now where Realm Royale is actually a special VR. It has got so much promise. I talked about Radical Heights on a previous podcast where I was really liking it. I was like, there's something there, but it is super bare bones. This has the exact same feeling that Fortnite had when it came out on the scene. People are excited. You're seeing the big streamers playing it over and over and over again without being paid. They're enjoying it. It's fun. It is everything we wanted in Fortnite without the building. It's got a decent company behind it. They're doing a great job. The community looks great. And it's like another meal ticket, right? It's who's going to be the ninja of this game? Who's going to be what players are TSM going to pick up for this? It's almost inevitable. We're at the beginning stages. The problem is now Fortnite is such a big game. It's so huge, and this game is literally a clone of Fortnite. I don't care what they say. Paladins copied off Overwatch, and Paladins is copying Fortnite. And the problem is now you got the fanboys. Now you got the Fortnite fanboys that are going, what the fuck is this? This is, it's creating this. I'm seeing it in my chat. I'm seeing in other things. But the thing is there's so many BRs that people are starting to just get fatigued. And they're like, I don't really care. I'm just going to play Fortnite or PUBG. Like, I ain't got, it's almost like they don't even want, even when I told Helly, I said, yo, you got to play Realm Royale. Nah, bro, this shit looks gay or some shit. Like, it's whatever. Then you play it, you're like, oh, fuck, this game's fire. This game is this is the show, right? And I think a lot of people are saying, oh, it's just another Fortnite clone. It's just another battle royale that Fortnite's going to overshadow, and then that's going to be the show. But that's not the case here. I think everybody should go out there and download it. It's free on Steam. Realm Royale, it's really, really good. I think you and I should play a bunch of it. I would make content for Realm Royale. I think that'd be fun too. I just love the game, man. It's so much fun. And I'm telling you, I called it out for Fortnite, and people on this podcast, I'd have to go back and watch. I don't know if it was you or it was Panic or the combination of both of you. I said, Fortnite is going to be bigger than PUBG. Fortnite's going to be massive. Fortnite's going to be massive. One of you guys is like, nah, man, nah. Boom, Bob's your uncle. And I'm calling it out for this. This game is going to be huge. It's going to be way bigger than PUBG, and it's going to be the direct competitor to Fortnite. It won't get Fortnite numbers. There's no way. Fortnite's gone now. Fortnite is League of Legends now. Now we're looking for that actual MOBA that can stand toe-to-toe with it and do a good job at it and keep both of them honest, right? Fortnite has got to come out with a ranking system. Dude, Realm Royale has got a little ranking system, a little ELO system. It's nothing crazy. You can't go down in rank, not yet. And it goes all the way up to Grandmasters. And now there's like a progression to it. If you feel like you're progressing, Fortnite doesn't even have that. I guarantee it. Within the next 2 weeks, we're gonna see some sort of ranking or ladder system on Fortnite. 100%.
Yeah, it's you said a lot there.
I know.
I gotta try and like digest that so I have something to talk about. I agree. I agree that the game is good. Like I've said before, it has an appropriate company behind it to be successful under the right conditions, and it seems like currently those conditions are a distinct possibility. The thing for me was that I decided not to even jump in. You were full steam ahead there. I decided to let it go, so I'm going to be pulling this way back to where I was saying about the class system and needing or not needing, but feeling like something was missing because it was a class system. So, and when you mentioned Overwatch and stuff, and it's absolutely true that normally in a class system, you know, and like I was saying, you know, it feels like should be more objectives or something. The difference is that in a battle royale, of course, you die once and it's game over. So the team dynamic is obviously going to be wildly different in a scenario where you're shot and killed, and especially in squads, it's not particularly common that I've seen that when you get downed that you make it out in one piece, because there's 4 people possibly shooting you. You're gonna die, and since it's not like PUBG or whatever or Fortnite, where when you're in a down state you slowly bleed out. You're in a down state, and 3 times in a match you can come back if you get away for 30 seconds. People have a higher incentive. They know they have a time limit working with, so they don't have to kill you immediately, but the incentive is way higher in Realm Royale to finish a kill because they know that you can come back in the 30 seconds. So when you die, you're basically dead for all intents and purposes in a squad game and even in solos. So it's a bit of a different beast in that regard, and there is to a degree an objective in the game, in that it's the Forge, where the Forge locks you in place for anywhere, depending on how long you're going to, you know, how many people are forging, and whether or not you're doing all your forging at once or if it's spread out over time. You're going to be there from between 60 seconds to, let's say, 3 minutes or so, just chilling. And you want to hold that position, especially in squads when you have more than just one person or 2 people randomly pushing your position. And it becomes a point objective at that point, is what it is. And at higher levels of gameplay, not just pro levels, but this game is in alpha and it's only been out since the 5th of the month. Give this game like 2 months, 3 months, and the average player, if they're not playing solos, is going to start to expect their teammates, whether they're playing with friends or if they're auto-filling their group, they're going to expect certain strategic plays and strategic decisions to happen because, and you would know this playing the game as much as you have, that Forge in the early game is the majority of the time the differentiating factor between getting late game and getting rolled by somebody else who has gotten to a Forge and gotten at least one piece of legendary armor or a legendary weapon of some kind. notwithstanding the meme of being a warrior with a fucking gray shotgun and killing everyone, right? Like, not that withstanding, that's kind of what the game is about. Is you get to the forge, you make some shit for your team, and you are way deadlier than when you first went in there. And so defending that or stealing it from another team, getting in and getting their shit instead is going to be
fortunately, there's a ton of forges, right? There's all kinds of forges, and also there's a ton of people all trying to get to the forge.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's just you versus another one squad. There's a lot
No, but it's going to happen where people are going to be.
I mean, there's going to be a meta. There's a meta in every game, right?
Absolutely.
It's the way it is. It's like, okay, we're going to land here. We're going to try and get this. We're going to try and pick off a couple of kills, grab our gold chickens, and then head to the forge.
Yes.
I mean, that's pretty much the show.
So I'm saying all that to say that while right now, especially since the game is so new and it's an alpha, it is absolutely a giant death match, and it will always, to a degree, at various levels of play, be a death match. If you hopped into PUBG right now, which would be the longest standing game in the BR scene with this level of popularity, you autofill your team, you're going to see people that go for the thirst of killing a downed guy and usually get killed themselves trying to kill the downed guy. It's just the way that it goes, right? That's always going to be the case. They're going to get razzed for it, of course. People are like, you fucking idiot. Why could you just let that shit go? We did not need to worry about that. He's not hurting anyone. And it's bait. Yeah. A team has to pick. A teammate has to pick them up. So if they're going to do that, then they're going to get killed. So you got to just let that shit go. You can't. I know you want one extra kill on your list, but you just got to let that shit go. And that will always be the case in any game, whether it is a pure death match variant or a team objective based with or without classes. But the moment you introduce classes in a team based game, even if the objective is as simple as be the last people alive, eventually the game matures to the point where people get out of the honeymoon phase. They did it with Fortnite. Fortnite's honeymoon phase is over. It's getting toxic as motherfucking all hell. Even Ninja sees that shit. Ninja, the perpetual fucking skippy-go-lucky Mary Poppins motherfucker. It's happening because the honeymoon phase is slowly tailing off. Happened in PUBG, happens in Fortnite. Royale being a whopping 10 days old, not even 9 days old, is hardcore honeymoon phase. You're still fucking this shit in every room in the house. Kitchen twice a day. You're fucking people, you're bitches on the toilet, in the closet, up against windows. Every ounce of the house just get honeymoon phase over 9,000. That shit's gonna end. It's gonna happen. And people are going to start to look for people to do certain things. And with the classes, it's the number one bait material for, I'm going to be this, we need a this. And there's always going to be a class that is relatively necessary, but nobody wants to play because it's not as fun as being a warrior that is more mobile than everyone else in the fucking game and has a self-heal and a self-shield and a fucking axe that you can switch off a shotgun and do like 6 billion damage in 0.2 seconds and be the god hero. Instead of the slow burn assassin that goes invisible, pops up and does a thing, is like, ha, and then like fucking takes off, but is still going to be an integral part of a 4-man team in the future when shit's not just shotgun meta. Like that's going to happen.
I've got a good counter for all that. And you're right. Okay. You're right about all of it. It's inevitably going to happen. But I've got a counter. You run solos. That's well,
you can. You
just run solo.
Absolutely. If you want to avoid that, you just run solo.
Run solo.
I think that Realm Royale is going to be at its peak in a squad, a 4-man. I think that Fortnite shines best in duos. I think PUBG's highest thing is solos. And from a competitive standpoint, it's a toss-up between duos and squads in PUBG, but it's more of a personal thing. I think duos is best in PUBG because 4-man, you're spending fucking 5 hours trying to down everyone, and it's annoying as shit. But with Realm Royale, because of the class system, odds are it's going to fall in the full 4-man squad format, and solo's always going to be available. And you can do that to get away with it, and then only play when you have friends that can make up the full team. Absolutely. And that's obviously the dream situation. Same as in any kind of like MOBA. You think it's you want to get all the glory of being a grandmaster in a MOBA game, playing by yourself and climbing the ladder so that you can say I did it by myself, and you take 30 years of your life off.
I went down that road. It's not a fun road.
Ideally, you bring some people along for the ride because you know inevitably that the world is dark and full of idiots, and you need to pare some of that shit back.
What's nice about Realm Royale, and we'll end it here. What's nice about Realm Royale is there is a high skill cap because of the actives that you can do. It's not just a flat out shooter.
Sure. There's the abilities and stuff.
There's the abilities that still allow for a high skill cap. A lot of buttons still need to be clicked. A lot of different sequences that you got to click them. Different levels to that shit.
But it feels good.
I'm gonna play it after this podcast.
So other than that, I don't think there's any other gaming.
I think we've gamed it out.
Related things I can think of off the top of my head. Hit me up with some TV and movie jingle.
Movies, TV.
I actually have nothing. So if you have anything, this could be the shortest segment in movies. TV. What do you got?
I watched Hereditary.
Oh right, yeah. You said it was the scariest movie you'd ever seen.
Literally the scariest movie I have ever seen in my life.
It really didn't look that scary watching the trailer.
Well, it's a different type of scary. It's not a jump scare scary movie.
We're in Japan now, is what you're telling me. We're not We're not Western. We're going the psychological horror.
It's what it was. It was a psychological horror. It was I don't want to spoil anything. And what was nice about it is I watched the trailer for that movie in the theater months ago, probably like 3 or 4 months ago.
I remember seeing it ages and ages ago. Yeah.
I think I actually saw it during when we went to
A Quiet Place.
Quiet Place. I think the preview was on that.
It was definitely on that one for sure.
Yeah. So I saw it and I was like, eh. And then I was just like, I'm probably never gonna watch this movie. It looks bad. And then Rotten Tomatoes came out, and it's got like a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes, but then the audience score was like 50%. Right. So I was like, okay. So the last time that happened to a horror movie, it was called The Witch, and I went out and saw The Witch. With Kayla. It was garbage. It was hot pile of steaming asshole. It wasn't for me. It was one of those like artsy fartsy, pretentious, like, trying too hard shit. The shit that critics like, where it's just they want to,
which explains the score.
I'm a critic, and this is different. This hits a different type of palette for me. Yeah, and it's like, okay, cool, but audiences not so much. So I was like, fuck, this could be like The Witch, where the critics are just stroking this dick, and it's gonna be bad. And it was just like one of those nights where I was just in the mood to go see a movie. So I was like, fuck it, I'll go to Late Show. And it was like a 2 hour long movie. It was like 2 hours.
That's a lengthy horror movie.
Fuck,
holy shit.
Yeah, I was like, fuck. So I was like, all right, I'll go see it. I watched it, and the very first frame of the movie, I was like, oh fuck, this thing is gonna be creepy. The way it was filmed, the imagery, it was almost like, and it was a first time director. And it was like he had this really amazing, what's it called? Where all the pictures are, the storybook, or not the storybook? Storyboard. It looked like I was watching the most beautiful concept of a storyboard that they literally just made into a movie. And I was like, okay, this is nice. And the acting was just superbly done. It was, and there's a lot of drama in this. There's like the emotion is crazy, and there's a lot of crying and shit. And usually when there's a lot of that stuff, it comes off like forced. You're like, oh man, that take just did not do it for me. But I forgot that I was watching a movie. Like I forgot that usually when I'm watching a horror film, like and there's jump scares and there's like CG'd aliens and shit. You're just like, I can't really get all that scared. Like I'll get jump scared and I'll be like, oh fuck, that was crazy. But I don't get scared. Like I'm like where I'm kind of freaked out. This was the complete opposite. After it's kind of a slow burn movie, but I hate to even say that because even the climax of the movie isn't particularly climaxy. It's just a pleasant, not pleasant's definitely the word, not the word. It's just a I guess it was a pleasure to watch, but it was an experience. It was like
it was a well-paced horror film, which is a rare thing to have.
And it was an actual horror film. Like they didn't rely on loud sounds or cats jumping out from behind you or none of that shit, or even creepy music to heighten whatever it is that they're trying to do.
So there wasn't that like James Wan low rumble every time something is about to happen.
No.
Okay.
There was none of that. There's a couple of like ambient type sounds and things, but a lot of it came just from dialogue and came from imagery. And there are a couple of weird things that go on in the movie for sure. That really where you realize that okay, this is a horror genre film. But ultimately, the best way to put it is kind of like watching the Leonardo DiCaprio movie, the one that you like, Shutter Island.
Oh, it was like a thriller.
Think of it as a horror thriller movie. Okay. Where you're invested in the characters and you don't know exactly where this is going. And then when it gets there, you're going, oh fuck. And then at the end of it, it makes you think. And during the movie, I was an hour and a half in because I remember looking at my phone, not because the movie was long and I was bored, is I started to have symptoms of anxiety, of like a panic attack. It felt like because it was weird. It's all about family drama and just it's called Hereditary. So everything happens in family, and it's all about this family and the history that they have, and everything starts to unfold, and you're going, oh my god, what the fuck? It gets worse and worse. It gets to the point where I started like putting myself into this house. And I started to my throat started to feel like it was closing in on me, and I couldn't fully catch my breath. And I was like, and then I realized that holy shit, a movie is having this effect on me. And an hour and a half in, I shouldn't say I almost left, but it went through my mind like if these symptoms get any worse, I have to leave and get fresh air. Like I can't. It's like how much more of this movie's left? I realized there's like 40 minutes left of this movie. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is getting worse. And it progressively got worse. It was like, it just got scarier and scarier and more ridiculous and scarier. And I just loved it. I have to say, if anybody out there wants to watch a movie, now it's not for everybody. It's going to be one of these movies where Adam could go and watch and go, dude, I listen, you pumped this movie up. I went and saw this movie.
Well, horror is weird for me.
It
just never right? gets me. That like very rarely does it actually pull me in.
Yeah, and it was like some people might go, it was hot trash. Like I did not like the ending. I thought it was weird. It didn't scare me because most people when they think scary movies, they just think jump scares and stabs and fucking people are screaming and dying and there's demons and shit that are ripping their heads around and fucking walking, doing all these crazy walks and shit. That's what they think of when they when they think scary movies. So then they go in there. I thought this was supposed to be scary. It's like no. This is more of like you got to use, and you don't even really need to use your brain all that much, but you just got to kind of pay attention and get lost in it, and it just kind of boils. It's like layers to the shit. It's like if you had a friend that had a really fucked up family, like just really fucked up, right? Everybody knows like people's families that there might be a father that's like an alcoholic or a mother that's like a drug addict or there's a child that has like a disability that's just fucking the whole family dynamic up, and it's a struggle. But you only see your friend at school, and you can tell that whatever's going on at home is just really fucking him up, and there's something off about him. He's just disconnected. Like there's always something on his mind. But then actually living in that house and seeing what they see through their eyes on a regular basis. and just living the nightmare. That's what this is. It's just like, oh my God, like, no, like, leave. But you can't because you're there and it's just what you're used to and it's normal and it's fucked. It's like that. And if you can get attached to that, it's a scary movie. It's a very scary movie. It's well done. I'm in love with it. I'm in love with it.
Well, I mean, for a first time director, what was your take? Did they seem to have their own style, or did it seem like they were biting somebody else's style?
I mean, there were the horror movie, some horror movie bites that are in almost every horror movie. I mean, even James Wan and he's one of my favorites. I mean, even his movies have the regular horror stuff. I mean, it is a genre, but it felt original. I haven't seen anything like this in a very long time. It was like Psycho meets, I don't know, Shutter Island meets The Conjuring.
The Conjuring, or The Ring, or something. Some Japanese influenced.
There was a little bit of Japanese influence and maybe just the visual look of it, like stylistically.
Kind of gritty.
A lot of just really creepy shit. It's like a creepy older house. And
was everyone just dirty all the time? Because it strikes me like a movie where everyone's dirty all the time.
No, I wouldn't say. I wouldn't say that. They weren't dirty or anything. It wasn't that. But it wasn't a very bright movie either. But the acting was just so very well done. It was like being part of it made you uncomfortable. It's like if you're at your friend's house once again and you're chilling, and say you're at my place, right? And you're at my place, we're playing video games and we're sitting there, and then all of a sudden my parents just start fighting, right? And they're fucking screaming at each other and shit. And I turn up the volume on the TVs,
to drown it out,
and trying to drown it out, and we both know what's going on, but I'm not acknowledging it, and I'm hoping that you don't bring it up, and I'm hoping that you're not hearing that unsettling feeling of Jesus Christ, like this is horrible, it's embarrassing, it's scary, it's your secret that somebody else is getting in on, that you just don't want people to know about. It's like that times 100, and that's the type of horror it is. That's the type of awkward. That's what it is. And that's the best way I could put it. It's you don't want to be there, but you're stuck there. You're forced to watch this out unless you want to leave, and it's not a comfortable watch. It's not a comfortable watch.
Well, there you go. If you're down for an oppressive ass movie, that's uncomfortable,
way
but
too much.
a little bit. You're giving her the nuts. That's for sure. You're giving her going.
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
Wow.
Nothing. Wow. There's nothing. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. The only thing I could gripe on it a little bit, the ending was out there, but I appreciate what they did and it all made sense. 10 out of 10. Okay. Best horror I've seen since The Conjuring. James Wan's Conjuring. That's it.
Oh, we got The Nun coming up soon too. In September, which is an offshoot of The Conjuring. That's the same universe. So we'll have
that Nun. Yeah,
we'll have that to compare to. Well, there you go. Yeah, I mean, it did look, when I saw the trailers for it, I thought, it looked different. Which for a horror movie for me, I was like, all right, that's the best start that I could hope for. Is that it doesn't look like every other horror movie that has come out in the last 10 years. Which it also now sounds
That'll be a good one, man. If you can watch it, like, not I wouldn't go to theater. It's not necessarily a theater movie, although it is nice to see the biggest screen in a dark auditorium with other people. But it'd be great at home, like with the lights off and some fucking your favorite snacks.
Oh,
and
I'm
you're
sure
down
we're
there
going
with
to be
the lady.
watching it eventually.
It's definitely worth watching for sure.
Yeah, for sure, because horror is a common watch here when we have some downtime. Any other movie, TV deals?
No, that's the show. Won't be until next week when Jurassic World comes out.
Makes this thing happen. Well, we got some tech support questions here. I gotta get this one just because it's so random. I can't answer, and it's Goose sent us this question: $10 lifetime $10 current. So this is a fresh off the
thank
press.
you. We got fresh ones. I just thought we were just losing at this point.
Well, we're also doing that.
Okay.
We're just we're losing more than we're gaining. So we're still getting the fresh, just not at a fast enough pace.
Okay.
So shout out to Goose for being one of the few stemming the flow a bit from going too quickly. Every time you get into the car, you have to fight a chicken to the death. And think about how many times you get into the car now. And if you get in, but then realize you forgot your phone, etc. So every time you step foot into that car, you're fighting a chicken to the death. Okay? Or once a year, you have to fight an orangutan to the death, but you get a sword.
I'd probably fight the orangutan once a year. The chicken just seems like not a fun time. Every single time you get in your car. And I mean, we're talking, you get in the car, you fight a chicken. You go to where you're going, you get out, you go back in, you fight a chicken. You go get gas, you fight a chicken. You go pay for the gas, you go back in the car, you're fighting a chicken. I mean, I'd be fighting chickens more than I am in Realm Royale. So I'm going to fight the damn orangutan, and I'm going to have my sword, and I'm going to stab the shit out of it once a year.
I'm going chicken.
What?
Okay, couple reasons. One, yes, major annoyance every time you get into the vehicle, you got to fight a chicken. Chicken, not the most dangerous thing in the world. It is annoying, but you literally grab any part of it, wing, foot, anything. You get to it is not difficult to break a chicken's neck. Doesn't take very long. Grab that bad boy, pull, done. You kill the chicken and you get dinner. It's easy, straightforward. An orangutan, even with a sword. First of all, I don't know how to use a sword properly. An orangutan can literally tear my arms off. If he gets one hand, if you fuck that sword swing up once, and I'm not even convinced one stab gonna kill the motherfucker. He gets one hand on your ass. He is gonna, whatever he grabs, leg, foot, hand, but it is being unceremoniously torn from your body, and there's nothing that you can do about it but flail that fucking sword around and hope to God that you lop that thing's head off. So,
yeah, but I'm going one step further.
Okay, what do you got?
I'm dropping the sword so I don't have an advantage, and I'm fucking fighting him bare knuckles to the death.
Wow. So basically, you're going to live out the next 364 days like a champion, and then you're just going to admit defeat
orangutan.
And death by orangutan. There you go. That's how it's done. Ultimate bravery. Ultimate bravery. Let's see here. This one kind of plays in because we talked a bit about it. This comes in from Martin, 165 lifetime, $100 current.
Oh,
that is an upgrade.
Damn, thank you, sir.
That is an upgrade. With all the hype around Battle Royale games these days, what mechanic or gimmick would you like to see? Is
like
there something
next or in
Battle
just
Royales? Like or any in Battle Royales or like maybe it's one that doesn't exist yet in terms of a game, or maybe it's a mechanic in a game in Battle Royale that you play now that you'd like to see. Like what would you like to see? For me, it's straightforward, and I'm getting it at the end of the year. It's destruction. I want to be able to blow up the fucking building that fuckboy Slim is sitting in with a double barrel shotgun, and my options are run away from him because the circle's coming, because I know if I go in the building, with or without grenades, I'm probably going to lose. This is I'm talking about like PUBG, because that's my game. And then have him come out of the building behind me and shoot me in the back of the head. And it was because I didn't want to risk trying to go into a building with a shotgun. Or I just blow a hole in the side of the fucking building and I expose the bastard and I kill him. This is the two options. I want to be able to take that building down. Easy peasy. I want to be able for my bullets to have penetration, so that when I have a 50 caliber sniper rifle and I'm shooting at a wooden fence, the wooden fence doesn't stop all of my bullets. I want to be able to shoot a 7.62 round at a chain link fence with somebody standing behind it and not have every bullet deflect like it's adamantium. These are the simple things in life that I would like to have in my any battle royale, really, unless the mechanic is very specific, like a Fortnite building mechanic, where the mechanic is not necessarily penetration, but the construction and demolition of those things. But it's not. But the demolition doesn't extend enough to like the buildings and stuff that already exist to a degree in Fortnite. It doesn't. The destruction aspect of Fortnite.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Seems to be more about destroying the tower to the fucking moon that somebody just built than it is destroying the house that somebody's in, so to speak. So for that reason, that's why Battlefield 5's Battle Royale is very intriguing to me, in that I want to see how they take the mechanics that are just inherent to Battlefield, slap it into a Battle Royale format, and press the go button. So that's my gimmick that I'm
gonna cheat and just agree, because it is just, and it's not so much the destruction of buildings that I'm interested in. I'm just more interested in the half and half of simulator and arcade, and the what Battlefield Bad Company. I just wanted Battlefield Bad Company 2 in Battle Royale form. That's basically what I want. I want something where it feels like I'm in war. Like I feel like I'm in it, like straight up first person view, be able to drive tanks, jeeps, those sort of things, being able to run through buildings, blowing up buildings, and on a battlefield on a large scale as well. And those are the types of battlefields that will also require actual teamwork, more squad-like objectives. And we're not talking objectives as in like King of the Hill or, hold this area or flag or whatever. We're talking, okay, a squad here, we're going to go and infiltrate this building, or we're going to go and take over, that area and hold it down, or we're going to take this tank or this Jeep and you're going to grab in the back on the chain gun and we're going to drive through here and you're going to jump out. And, those are the type of more thought-provoking, more methodical type gameplay that isn't PUBG, that isn't slow-paced, boring, sit in their camp, wait for someone to run by, shoot them once, go camp again for 40 minutes. Something that there's war, there's explosions happening, shit is blowing up. You don't feel like you're safe in any building, and it's also a first-person shooter that still feels like an arcade game, but doesn't feel like Fortnite or Realm Royale, where it's this cartoony go down there, still fast-paced, but there's this disconnect. There's this full-blown arcade, which
it's
is
a semi-realistic shooter, semi-realistic first-person shooter with destruction mechanics.
Yeah, Battlefield Battle Royale on paper is what Battle Royale, what
should
the
be.
Hunger Games, what all of it should be. Like that is it. I mean, on paper, that is what you, or at least me, that's what I envision. I envision a real war, something with real stakes. Not this thing where you pop into a chicken and bounce around, or this thing where you build a tower in 2 seconds, or this thing where you sit down in a broken game and you camp and you shoot somebody, or you try to shoot somebody and the bullets go everywhere and you don't kill anybody. I'm talking a real Battlefield Battle Royale. That is the show. I actually can't think of a better Battle Royale there is. So we're going to see if they can pull it off. It's EA.
Because
so
there are some hurdles there with how they tackle it, because there is, classes in Battlefield, engineers, medics, and everything. The vehicles, specifically things like tanks, that's a a major fucking. Can you imagine just coming across a tank? So then the question is, well, if there's only random weapons laying around, the only real counter to a tank is like a fucking RPG or mines or something. So their challenge is going to be about balancing available vehicles with how the classes mesh in with Battle Royale versus the type of distribution of weapons. Maybe you just start with your class weapons, like it's and you can only use your class weapons. Maybe they try and do like a Realm Royale style thing. Because if they went pure PUBG, then the level of RNG when you add a tank to the mix might not work out all that hot. Because the moment somebody hops into a tank early game, well, shit. What are we gonna do about a tank rolling up on our shit? Or even like an APC with a 50 caliber machine gun, or a plane. You know, like what? How does that all come to? And if
we're gonna find out, we're gonna find out how to do it, right?
So if they pull it off, it's going to be absolutely incredible.
Yep.
And if they don't, it's going to be horribly disappointing, and I'm going to be a very sad panda. But hey, either way, we're going to find out. And it might not even launch with the game. We don't even know that.
I don't think it's going to.
So
they didn't show anything. They're just like, yeah, we've got battle. We're doing Royale.
Yeah, it's
and then
happening.
That was it. That's all you heard. They're like, you got no footage for us?
Yeah.
Nothing?
No.
You're just announcing this because if you don't, you know, nobody's going to get excited about your game.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Call of Duty's coming out with their own battle royale, and that's the thing. So we'll see. We'll see what it looks like.
So we'll see. So that's coming. I'm just going to answer this question real quick. We've had it in the past, probably from the same guys. Comes from James, $90 lifetime, $10 current. Thank you, James. Said,
Thank you,
ever consider having guests on the podcast? Yes, we have. We ran a test run early on in the podcast when we had Nathanius come on, who was a buddy of ours. We wanted to do a test run with somebody that we knew really well, so that if shit went absolutely south, that it wasn't some sort of horrible experience. It went sort of okay.
We use Discord now, which would be a lot easier.
It would be easier.
Before we were using like a different program and that weird site, and
yeah, it's still a bit of a hurdle depending on the guests that you have. And there's some other stuff like in terms of getting their audio that can sometimes be a sketchy situation, which is why we were using that program in the first place. Because when they came on, it just recorded in the cloud and sent it to. It's just a shame that it didn't work and it sucked. Yes, absolutely. But right now for us, if I'm going to be a straight shooter with you right now, this podcast is about weekly getting together and making the show fucking happen the way that it's happening right now, because we still have to sort out a whole bunch of shit on the back end of this, whether it looks like we do or not. There's a whole bunch of shit that still needs to be sorted.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not dragging any kind of, I don't care how high or low profile these guests are, I am not risking, because when I do guests, I want to make sure there's a well-oiled fucking machine and not something where we're just kind of flying by the seat of our pants and we bring on somebody and it goes tits up. Because first impressions, boys, you don't get more than one shot on that. So that's a lot of why. But do we want to do guests in the future? Yes, absolutely. Sure. We'd love to make that happen. We will work towards it. It's just not going to happen next week. That's just kind of the way that it is. Black Jimmy, $425 lifetime.
Jesus, Jimmy.
$100 current pledge. Asks, coincidentally, what's the bravest thing you've ever done? Well, Jeff just admitted that he wanted to fight an orangutan bare knuckle. So even though it hasn't happened, that would have trumped anything else that he's done to date. But what's the bravest thing that you've done?
That's a good question.
I don't think I've been put in a lot of situations that would require copious amounts of bravery.
I don't think I have either. I haven't done anything like extreme, like jump out of a plane or anything like that. Bravest thing I've ever done. Wow. I really don't know. I mean, there's one thing that comes to mind. When I was younger, when I was in elementary school, I do believe it was grade 5, and there was a guy named Colin, who ultimately we were friends all the way up through, I think, about mid high school when he left, went to a different school, but yeah, I was in elementary school and junior high. I was this was like before you knew me. Oh, no, well, you knew me when I was in junior high. I think grade 9, grade 8. Grade 8 is when I went to Herring Cove.
Yeah.
But you know, in elementary school and even junior high, I mean, I was pretty, I wouldn't say quiet kid, but I I kind of kept to myself. I had like a little group of friends. I wasn't part of the cool kids club or anything like that. I was just kind of the cool kid in the not cool kids club. Just kind of more of the leader of the
movie cool kid.
Exactly. You know, I was the Jean-Claude Van Damme, right? I ran that sort of show. I was never the Brad Pitt.
You were Brad Pitt.
The Tom Cruise. I was at best Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? At best.
I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've had a couple of good years, but I would say more of the Jean-Claude is probably the better way of putting it. But anyway, there's this guy named Colin, and we were fighting over a girl. Her name was Dominique, and I had a crush on Dominique, and he had a crush on Dominique, and
That's not even a name that I recognize.
You don't know her. You don't know her. Yeah, this is totally. She never went to Herring Cove.
Oh, that would explain why.
Yeah,
okay. Okay. Yeah.
So, but this was during elementary. All right. So this is way back. This is way back. This is grade 5, and we were out at recess, and
the stakes are high.
And everybody's out there playing. It's like a 15-minute break or whatever. I remember Dominique was out there in the back of the school playing hopscotch, and I was doing jump rope. Right. And this was just when I was learning how to do like the double jump rope, you know, where you know, the double Dutch. Right. So I was learning that.
Fancy moves.
Yeah. And I kept fucking it up. And I remember Dominique came over and she showed me sort of the technique that you have to use to do the double Dutch.
That was like the mini. Was it like the mini golf where she reached around your hips and showed you how to do it?
It was more like she just started doing double Dutch, and
like, this is how you do it, scrub.
How you do it? And then I started, you know, I got a couple in, whatever. So anyway, Colin was there, and he got pissed at me. And when we lined back up to go back into school, when you get all in lines, he was behind me, he pushed me, and I was like, what are you doing? And he was, I don't even remember what he said. This is pretty cloudy.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah. So, but he pushed me, and I remember it vividly. And I turned around and was like, "What the fuck?" And I thought we were friends. Like, we weren't like close, but we were cool with each other. And it ultimately was all about Dominique. So it got worse. So the day had passed, and time had gone on, and Dominique and I were now, I was sitting close to her in class, and it was like, you know, full blown crush type shit, right?
Yeah, the elementary school crush.
I ended up they used to have these little cubbies, like these hangers outside of the classrooms. You put your coat and you can put your winter boots on and have it all there, and you go in class. So anyway, we were getting out, and we ended up kissing. Like we did a little peck. It was like a dare. Like we were, you know, there's a bunch of truth or dare shit going on. Of course,
at that age, it has to be spin the bottle or a dare, because nobody's just going for it otherwise.
Yeah, it was like a truth or dare thing, and we ended up, like, somebody dared us to kiss during recess or after school one day, and we were like, no, we're not doing that. And then we ended up just doing it, like, not when we were supposed to, but we ended up just doing it. Anyway, Colin got pissed as fuck, and he said that he was going to fight me after school.
Was it at the flagpole?
No, it wasn't at the flagpole. It was in a baseball diamond.
Oh, okay.
There's a school, there's a basketball court, and then there's like a little baseball field. So he was like, yeah, we're fighting after school. And I was scared. Like I'd never fought before. I'd never fought anybody. Like, yeah.
Well, you would have been what, 10?
I don't know. I don't even know how old I was. Grade 5. But anyway,
10.
he was.
Yeah, you would have been 10.
Yeah, 10, maybe 11. I don't know. So anyway, he was like, yeah, we're fighting. And I was like, no, I don't want to fight. And he was like, you're going to fucking fight me after school and blah, blah, blah. And then my friends and everybody knew what was going on. And I remember this like it was yesterday. I leave school and I lived out in Cowie Hill. So I went to Shabukto. So I would just walk home. I didn't get on a school bus or anything. But the route to go home was through the basketball court, and then to the right was the baseball diamond. So I'm walking home with my friends, and there's some commotion going on in the baseball field. There's like out in the outfield. There's a group of kids out there, and next thing you know, it's like, oh, there's Jeff, there's Jeff, there's Jeff, and kids all started running towards me, like, yeah, fight.
Kids
and
are so fucking savage. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I was like, no, I'm not going to fight him, right? And I remember walking up to the top of the hill, getting ready to walk home, and they were like, calling me names and stuff. And then Colin opened up his mouth and he said something about my sister. And I don't remember what he said about my sister. And at the time, my sister was like fucking like 1 or 2 years old.
Yeah, she's like a baby.
Yeah, it was like a baby. and he said something about my sister. I don't remember what the comment was, but anyway, once he yelled it. He yelled something about my sister. And everyone was like, oh, and I started crying. Like I got mad and I started crying. And I don't know why, but I got like super emotional.
Well, when you're 10 years old and you get angry, you're still young enough that crying is part of being angry. You're just so angry that just all emotions happen simultaneously.
Exactly. So anyway, I said, that's it. I'm fighting him. Right. So this is like the big brave moment that we were talking about. So I walk down the hill and I go out into the outfield. And the worst part about it is Colin was in karate. And which was probably the reason why I was scared of him. And like, he was always in karate. His father was like a black belt and fucking it was just all this karate shit. Right. So he gets into his fucking stance, like an actual fighting stance. And I'm standing there like, what the fuck? Right. What the fuck is going on? So
you're Daniel from the Karate Kid before you got trained.
So anyway, this is real. I don't know if I ever told you the story, or maybe Scott told you about this.
I don't know. I don't remember much of it, if anything. So I think this is new.
So anyway, you know what I did? So he gets into a karate stance, right? And at the time, this was during like PlayStation days, like fucking like PS1, like or old arcade. I don't remember what it was.
Virtua Fighter.
So there was Tekken, and there was the black guy that did the dancing, like the Jamaican fighting shit.
Capoeira.
Yeah. So anyway, I start.
I'm
not making this up. I'm not making this up. And you can fact check this and ask Scott. Okay, you can ask Scott. So he's standing there like this, and I start doing this. Right? I start doing this shit. I'm bouncing around like I'm fucking. Like, you know what I mean? I gotta not do that too much because my knees fuck. But anyway, I'm literally doing the black guy type fucking movement around, and everybody's going, oh shit. And then I said, I'm gonna beat your ass Jamaican style, right? And that's literally what I said. And for the longest time, everybody was like, oh yeah, Jeff's this, this Jamaican fucking thing. So I'm bouncing around, and dude, there's a circle of kids. I'm bouncing around. And he's just standing still like this, and he ain't fucking moving. And I'm dancing around this motherfucker. So anyway, I go in and I kick him once, right? And he it doesn't do anything to him, right? And then he comes up and he punches me, right? I'm like, fuck. And I'm bouncing around again. And now I'm kicking more, and he's like blocking up, and we just start doing this like really bad scrap. Like it was just a horrible scrap. And then of course, the teacher comes fucking blaring down. Everybody break it up!
Oh my god!
Right, and it was like nobody really won the fight. Like there was no blood. There was no nobody's on the ground. We just looked like a couple of idiots.
That's
right.
Amazing.
And more me looking like an idiot because he was legitimately ready to fight and use self-defense, and just because I was trying to intimidate him, like I was trying to show him like, motherfucker, yeah, you train, so do I too. I know this fucking shit. The only thing that came to my mind was Tekken Jamaican style. And they called me Jamaican style for years. Like, even still to this day, when we get drunk here at the house during UFC, we occasionally bring it up. We start
Jamaican
talking about the
style.
time where I fought Colin Jamaican style out in the baseball field. It was ridiculous. So that was probably the bravest I've ever felt in terms of like being afraid to do something and just doing it. And I probably wouldn't have if he didn't like provoke me with my sister. And I don't know why, but that was like what snapped, it was like, okay, that's it, motherfucker. I'll do it. Cause I was scared. I was legitimately scared to fight the kid. And I went and did it and it felt good. I got suspended, which was awesome. And my dad was proud of me because I told him about the fight and he was like, always defend yourself and so on and so forth. So my dad was always cool like that.
Did you tell him you fought him Jamaican style?
I did. I left that part out. I definitely left that part out. And Colin and I, it was like a couple days later. I probably before, by the time the suspension was over, we were friends again. Like, and
because you were in grade 5.
Yeah, and we used to talk about it like I used to sleep over his house. We used to collect Pokemon cards. And we used to like gamble Pokemon cards over Mario Kart for Super Nintendo. We played the battle thing.
Yeah.
We both put up like a holographic or something. Whoever wins the best 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 5 out of 7 or whatever, 4 out of 7. And we used to just laugh about the fight that we had. It was just one of those things. It was retarded. I wish I would have gotten it on video because when I tell you I was literally fighting Jamaican style, that was the first thing that came in my mind was Tekken. And I was bouncing around like a little moron. So that's probably my bravest I've ever been that I can think of. Like I've done, things as an adult where it takes a lot of, courage or whatever. But in terms of bravery, where you're legit fucking, you got to man up and just do something that you really don't want to do.
Yep.
That was it.
I'm gonna say that's a hard story to top when you fight Jamaican style. I'm not entirely sure I've got anything. Mine was probably when the house got broken into, and I came home, and I was home alone at the time because Gabs was back in the Netherlands at that time, and it was nighttime because I had gone to Dad's because we were building Rex's like cat hotel fucking thing. And when I got back to the house and it was like, I don't know, 9:30, 10 o'clock or something, it was dark. It was, I don't know, early summer. So it had to be 9:30, 10 o'clock. And when I got home and I got up to the front door and I put my hand on the doorknob and I put the key in and I turned it to unlock it and it was already unlocked. And I was like, well, that's fucking weird. And I thought and so my first instinct was, did I lock the door when I left the house? Did I just forget to lock it or whatever when I left the house? Because I was kind of in a rush or whatever going over to Dad's. And I was like, that's probably the case. It was just whatever. So I walk in because the door wasn't like left ajar or anything like that. So I walk into the house and I close the door behind me and I stop because the first thing I smell is cigarettes. I was like, that's also a bit...
Yeah, that's getting weird.
That's a little more odd. But then I was like, well, my next door neighbor, because we're in a... I was in a townhouse, semi-detached, not a townhouse, but a duplex. And when my next door neighbor's brother would be over, which was really frequent in the summertime. His brother was always over. They're both Navy guys. They're in their 30s or whatever. His brother smoked like a chimney. And it would just get into the filters that were outside the house that would bring it into the house. And you'd get this really faint smell of cigarettes in like my office and stuff like that. So, because I'm going through logic in my head, right? I get to the door. I'm like, yeah, probably correct to lock the door. Get inside. Yeah, Jerry's probably over at Mike's. It's probably just... They're outside because it was nighttime. They're probably doing their thing, having like their 86th beer. It's whatever. So I get into the house, close the door, and the light at the landing was on and the light in the kitchen was on. But I left those on when I left the house, so I didn't think anything of it. But I was starting to get a little, I was 50-50. I wasn't 100% on what was going on at the time. And I didn't notice at first, but the downstairs door to the basement was open. Which led out to like eventually my office downstairs. But I didn't remember whether I closed the door or whatever at the time. And at the time, I probably didn't. I probably just left the door open. It was whatever. So I go upstairs. I have Tim Hortons in my hand. I haven't eaten all day after breakfast. So I have Tim Hortons in my hand. I got my hot chocolate, got my food, go up to the kitchen, put it down on the countertops. And I'm still smelling the cigarettes. I'm like, this is fucking weird. And then I see there's light on upstairs. I was like, what the actual fuck? So I walk upstairs. I'm going slower at this point. I still got my sneakers on.
He's slow walking up
I'm
now.
slow walking now. And I go upstairs and I look to get down the hallway, and my bedroom door is ajar and the light's on. And I saw some shit on the floor. And I was like, okay, well, fuck. Yeah. Now I went from 50-50 to 150-50. I knew what was going on. So I was like, well, fuck. And my heart rate goes from normal to like 260, whatever the fuck, like maxed out.
I need to find a knife or a bat or something.
And so the first thing I do is I go into the kitchen, I grab my chef knife out of the knife block, and I was like, well, now I got to clear my house. So I start by going upstairs. But it was weird. So the main floor, untouched. The back door was closed and locked and barred. Nothing. The TV was there. Every Blu-rays, everything untouched. Kitchen wasn't rifled through. Nothing. I didn't see footprints anywhere on like the vinyl or nothing. So it's so weird. So I get upstairs.
Shoes off and everything, man.
They got comfortable. Yeah. So I get the knife and I went upstairs. And I go closet to closet, room to room, because they could have heard me come home. Oh yeah, and now they're hiding. Yep. So I'm opening every door, but I'm like fucking off. I'm open the side of the door, so I'm standing to the side of the door. I got my knife in this hand. I'm fucking reaching around the side, twisting the door. I'm throwing the door open, and I'm coming around the side so that I'm not standing in the doorway when I open it. Do that to every room. Open the closet at the top of the stairs. Open up Gab's office, the first guest bedroom. Get into her office, nothing there. Open that closet, nothing there. Leave that shit all open. Go out the hallway. Open up the bathroom. Go to the bathroom. I got to pull the fucking curtain on the tub bag, which was some shit.
Some horror movie shit right there. You're like, fuck.
I'm like, fuck. I can't stealthily open that shit. So I just fucking ripped it right. Just fucking pulled her out. Nothing. Okay, out the hallway again. Open the laundry room doors. Nothing. Open the my old office guest bedroom door. Nothing. The closet in there. Nothing. Now I finally get to the master bedroom where the door is ajar and I'd already seen shit on the floor, lights on. Like, oh, fuck. Okay, all right, fuck it. I straight kicked that door open. I didn't open that shit. There was nowhere for me to go. I just fucking kicked that shit. I was ready to kill somebody because I was like, I've got a knife in my hand. You got a knife in your hand, you're ready to use it. You don't just hold it and go, I'm just going to like scream at them and hold this knife.
If somebody jumps out of a closet or something, they're getting stabbed.
They're getting stabbed.
Like, legit. Like, you're getting stabbed at this point. Like, reactionary shit, you're being stabbed.
Yeah.
Like, that's the show. If you're in the room, you need to be, I'd have been like, if anybody's in here, you need to fucking say it right now, because if somebody jumps out, someone's getting stabbed.
Oh, I was ready. I was ready to kill a motherfucker for a couple reasons. One, I was like, this is a major inconvenience for me right now. I just did not want.
Somebody deserves to get stabbed.
Somebody deserves for this inconvenience. So I kicked the door open, full on fuck. But I didn't kick it too hard because I'm renting the place. I didn't want to fuck the door up. So I kicked it enough.
Just blame that on the burglars. You know? Could have punched a window or something, just let some frustration out. Just smash something, be like, yeah, insurance will cover that.
So it was like, because I would have probably put my foot through the door, because it wasn't like a solid core door, it was just one of those hollow ass. So I kicked the door open, but it wasn't like some crazy shit. I just kicked the door open. I get into the room and clear the bathroom first, because it's the first thing that comes up on the side. Nothing. And then look into this room, and my room is fucked. Every drawer, every sock, every piece of underwear, the whole thing.
What are they looking for?
Trash. Looking for jewelry and cash, right? In the bedroom. So they're everything just torn to shit.
Jewelry I can see, but who's going to keep a stack of cash in your
sock drawer. I don't know, somebody apparently at some point. So they just gutted everything. I was like, oh god damn. And I didn't have time to inventory what was gone because I was like, I still need to go downstairs to the basement. So I go back down the stairs and walk down the hallway, and I walk in and I clear left, which was the storage room, and that's when I felt a draft, and I was like, what the fuck? So I opened that door up, and the side window that goes into that storage room was open, and that's how they got into the house. They barred it. They didn't even break it. They barred the window because the locks on them are shit. So they just barred the window open and got into the house that way. And then apparently walked out the front fucking door because the front door was wide open. So broad daylight, mid-afternoon, motherfuckers barred the side window.
Ballsy.
Walked into the house. Stormed
It's not like
shit.
it's a small neighborhood. There are people like if it's you got people on top of you.
Yes.
I could jump to your next door neighbor's front doorstep.
Balls. Walked out the front door, closed it gently behind themselves, and went on their merry way. And but walked into my main office room, which is just there was no windows, nowhere to fucking go. So I cleared that out, and I noticed what was gone. And once I cleared it out, I went to my neighbor's place. I called the cops, which is the reverse order, by the way, if you're wondering, of what should have happened. My brain was thinking, I'm so angry right now, I just want an excuse to stab a motherfucker. But I also didn't want to leave the house if they were still in it. It was a weird, like the logic center of the brain wasn't working all that. Like I really should have just went next door, called the cops.
Yeah, and waited there.
Whether or not they were in the house, those guys could have had a gun. They could have fucking had a bat. They could have, like, anything that was going to trump my knife. That you never know. So stupid. But that was probably the line between brave and stupid.
I probably would have done the same thing.
Yeah,
I probably would have done the same.
The line between brave and stupid is a very thin line, and I was definitely on the stupid side of that line. But that was pretty much the way she went. But I was ready to fucking kill somebody. I was so angry. I get more angry about being inconvenienced than the actual thing happening. So I was just thinking to myself, like all the shit that I've now got to like go through, just the inventory.
Well, also just the thought of somebody else being in your home, right? That's fucked up, right? Somebody like going through your shit, breaking into your house.
The disrespect of breaking into somebody's house, being in somebody else's property and taking the shit. And the shit they took. Like these guys were like the lowest tier fucking idiots. They went for the most pawnable shit. They took the consoles. They left the fucking cameras. They left the computers. They left the monitors. They left the TVs. They left everything. They took one of my two Esquire watches. For some reason, they left the second one behind.
Like, I don't like that. I don't like that model.
Whatever. The shit that they took was just so like precise. They knew. Well, as it turns out, they definitely had a laundry list. Like they had a list of specific items. Because the cops eventually found like a monster stash from like 30 different houses where it was all tied together, the same guys breaking into places. And thankfully they stole things with easily traceable serial numbers, so they didn't do themselves any favors.
No.
And yeah, unfortunately, though I lost the Xbox because they sold the Xbox pretty much immediately. But everything else I got back pretty much. So it was kind of fucking whatever. But it was just such a pain in the ass. Oh my God. And again, it was like, and from that day forward, it was, and I still do it now. I've got to double, triple check every lock in the house before I go to bed. I got to double, triple check every lock in the house before I leave the house to go somewhere. I turned it into Fort Knox. My office had a solid core fucking 80-pound solid core door with a double-sided deadbolt that I locked before I left, with hinges that were bolted in, so they would have had to literally kick the door. They would have had to shear the hinges off before they get into the room. I had a camera in the corner of the room that was video for when they came in. I had bars on every easy access into the house, plus a security system. I Fort Knox the fucking place.
Yep.
All because these guys got in and did that shit. And so yeah, just that was I did
the same thing, dude. I spent $10,000 on a security system in this house. I got 8 cameras 24/7, 7 days a week. I can check them. I can talk to the cameras. They're recording everything. I could check on my dog right now. I could talk to him from another room. I can see all the entire perimeter of my house. I don't give a fuck. Like it is literally Fort Knox because of shit like that. Because of people that will just come in, try and steal your shit, and they'll steal the dumbest shit ever.
Oh yeah. Oh no, and Tinnick, it wasn't the deadbolt wasn't put into the frame. Dad and I literally screwed the deadbolt into the studs, the double studs that make up the frame for the doorway. So there were like 5-inch screw, like leg bolts. So you would have literally had to have Dave Bautista in his Marcus Phoenix roll, steamroll that door and shear every like 10 screws, or somehow magically shear or break the wood. And I don't know if you've ever tried to break two 2x6s stuck together before. It's not easy. It's not easy. But yes, it was definitely locked down. So and all of that from that. But that was my brave moment from that. Last question. And I have to, because it's our man Jetrix. I can't pass it.
We can't skip Jet.
Because I need
it's the reason why we eat.
I need you to brace yourself for this. This $6,600 lifetime supporter. I can't pass up on that. I can't. Jetrix asks a question. I'm going to answer it 3 times.
Yes. Current
pledge of $500.
Oh.
Jetrix says, "Hi guys. Hi Jetrix. Thank you for paying my bills. I know you've touched on this a couple of times." But seeing some of the stuff coming out of after a major gaming event like E3, it felt like it might be something worth discussing directly. The question is, do you feel that games journalism is now a lost sea of marketing and soapboxing and anger baiting rather than helping and informing the end user? Any particular stories from this or past E3s that spring to mind? I have a feeling Jetrix has something in mind for this, but what do you have a take on that, Mr. Black? Do you think that games journalism has just turned into basically a giant, like, baiting soapbox machine? You could even extend that to movie journalism, honestly, just journalism in general. But gaming journalism has definitely seen some shit.
It's gotten worse, yeah. It's gotten worse for sure. I don't think it's as bad as the movie industry yet. It's getting there. I mean, it's just everything's just clickbaits. I mean, everything is just Everything is just PUBG sues Fortnite, right? Everything is just there's no context, there's no nothing. It's just there's a lot of like stuff that you want to click on and then take a side and lash out. But yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I don't really have too much to add on it. It's just the way she is. I don't really pay all that much attention to the journalism in video games, though. I just don't. I'm not really into that sort of scene.
Well, I know you. We see it in. I definitely see it. We see it in movie, even in like the movie thing for sure too. Though, like people soapbox the hell out of it, or they use they use it for the whole. It's like the Me Too movement thing got soapboxed to all hell in the movie scene. Things of that nature. So yeah, but it's so I'm gonna guess that the thing that Jetrix is probably using as a platform for this question was the Last of Us 2 kiss scene in the thing, and all of the various bullshit from that, and or the Battlefield 5
female
thing, which are the two hot topics. And honestly, the Battlefield 5 thing's bigger than the Ellie thing, because Ellie was already known to be a lesbian. So, but games journalism in general, honest to God, in my opinion, there are a smaller and smaller list of games journalists that are actually worth reading, and pretty much everyone else is there for two reasons. They're either there just to get paid because they told themselves they want to be a games journalist, and they get into the system and they're doing what they're being told, which is basically writing clickbait bullshit, or B, they actually honest to God believe the shit coming out of their fucking mouth, and it's heinous. And they do soapbox a lot. And but I think it's just indicative of all of media and social media in general. Is that journalists aren't the only people that are having these thoughts. It's just that journalists have a platform in which to stand up and say these things.
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of the way it is. I mean, with the Battlefield 5 thing, where it was, a bunch of people upset about the inaccuracy of a female on the front lines that wasn't a French resistance soldier or a Russian soldier or something that like a country that actually had frontline fighting women or otherwise, but instead it was a Brit with a prosthetic arm doing her thing, and then put her on the front cover of the game as well. Like EA isn't going to convince anyone that they aren't pandering. If EA came out and said, and did
I don't even think they're denying it, right?
Well, they are. No, they actually are. Okay, so
then.
the head of EA coming out saying he put on this big spiel about his daughter apparently his young daughter seeing this shit on social media and saying, "Daddy, why is it so bad that girls are in your game?" The odds of this actually happening, because it is so frequently used. You've probably heard it in movies journalism. They use it in games journal. It's I have a daughter who's under the age of like 12, and she asked me such an innocent question, and I thought to myself, you know what? It's not right. Like, and and so whether that happened or not, it's just even that is so inflammatory and fucking stupid.
It's a cop-out, man. It's
use
so bad.
as an excuse to come out and say, it's not right. And then he goes on to say that what they had there is accurate, and anyone who doesn't think so because they think that women weren't involved in the war that way are uneducated. And then in another spot, they use the term man babies.
Oh.
So they are absolutely
they're gone
defending.
Full Star Wars. They're gone full Lucas.
They've absolutely
they're doubled down,
digging in on this to the point where he said, if you don't like it, just don't buy the game. Like they're double, tripling down on this shit. Okay, and the game's journalists are by and large, not all of them, but they're getting in on that kind of shit, and they'll make it worse than it already is. It's true that there are a ton of guys on the YouTube comment section. Not that you should ever use the YouTube comment section as a barometer for literally anything, but the YouTube comment section that were complaining simply about there being a woman there, period. Making jokes about it. A bunch of 13-year-olds seeing other people doing it and just mimicking some fuckery, right? But the reality is EA, so the timeline of this is EA sees Call of Duty come out with their World War II thing. They see Call of Duty get lambasted for not having an accurate World War II representation. They start talking up Battlefield 5, saying ours is going to be a historically accurate experience. Then we get this trailer come out, which is about the polar opposite in every respect that you could ever imagine.
Yeah, it's not even an argument. It's
to
just,
that.
Yeah.
And then they put the female with the prosthetic, like like we joked about before, we're hitting almost every target demographic possible and putting them on the cover of the game.
Yeah. If she drove a Jeep and was on a softball team, that'd be it. The show.
That is, you cannot convince me that they are not doing that to pander to the fuckery in the market right now, the loudmouths that are charging all of this crap. That doesn't even need to be charged, but they're poking it because they're like, oh, no.
And then the journalists are picking up on all of it, and they're just running their articles.
And they just run.
Oh yeah, dude. It's a free marketing. It's a free marketing campaign.
Oh, they run wild with it, and it's frustrating because with this Battlefield 5 thing, and I know it doesn't answer the question directly, but I'm into it now as it is. It's so frustrating because EA had this beautiful moment to be a Naughty Dog, where Naughty Dog isn't pandering to people. They could have, with them having said it's going to be World War II, historically accurate, They could have had easily females in the multiplayer modes and shit like that, because for the campaign side of things, have French resistance female fighters. Have a section on the Russian side of things, despite the fact that the Russians weren't on necessarily the right side of history for that shit. And everyone needs to be, the general allies of the Americans and the Brits and all that whatever fucking nonsense. Yeah. You had a platform to actually showcase, while still being inclusive, because we're working women into the games, the female side to the front line or resistance fighters from other nations. Just because they aren't American or British doesn't mean they can't be in the fucking game, and give us their stories. You still get the women in the game. You still get them in multiplayer. Give them a fucking prosthetic if you want to be stupid about it, but don't make it a historically inaccurate female, because now you're doing it just to have a female in the game.
100%.
And then have a prosthetic just to do that target then, and put her on the cover to really drive it home, because that holy fucking trinity of stupid has just signaled to me that you are pandering and nothing more. And then to have the tenacity, the fucking nutsack, or I'm going to say the lack thereof, to go out and drag your daughter's, whether or not it's true or not, bullshit fuck out into the limelight, so that you can play the victim role and be like, the population's attacking us. Oh, I can't.
Do you think she's going to be the main character?
Absolutely. 110. If she's on the cover, why wouldn't she be? And they're going to come up with this size. And now all of their language is, from the E3 moving on, all of their language is our take, our story, our this, our that. It's no longer historically accurate. It's our. Now changing the language, but yet when they're pushed on it publicly about the historical accuracy, then they play a victim role. They try and flip the script, say everyone else is just attacking them, make everyone else a misogynist, fuckboy, man, baby, uneducated, whatever other terms they want to use to describe these people. And so that essentially what it makes it look like is that they're untouchable, because the moment they label you that, it's like, well, what does my argument mean now? Yeah. It's not that I have a reasonable argument. You've just labeled me an uneducated.
It's ridiculous.
It's crazy. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely stupid as hell. Drives me fucking wild. And then again, just go back to the question, that kind of shit gets pushed like crazy by the vast majority of the journalists, or it gets made worse. They sensationalize it even further. They sass it up even more to get the clickbaitier the better, and that's gaming journalism by and large. I mean, even Giant Bomb has largely, even though they have some of the most trusted names in the business, they don't even do that much writing anymore. They just do video content and reactions and stuff, because they don't. I feel like they don't even want to be. They don't want to be part of that shit. They just want to do their thing and let the world be crazy around them. Although I should say that Patrick Keplik came at a Giant Bomb, unfortunately, as an intern, and he's one of the current journalists that definitely likes to stick a cross in the ground and die on it every 5-6 days. So not everyone's safe. But anyway, that's going to be it. We're going to end it there. Jetrix gets his thing. I'm sweating like a whore in church because this room is hot. I'm sick. My armpit, my right one specifically, smells like a 13-year-old going through hormonal changes. I can't even stand the smell of myself. I'm going to get out of this room because I'm going to suffocate, but I got to edit this podcast. So we're going to call it there. Jeff's going to go and play Realm Royale. He's going to hopefully get some more wins. We will be back next week. Thank you very much for stopping by. If you're watching us here on Twitch, you can catch it on YouTube if you missed it out and you want to see the cameras and everything in between. If you're listening to this on iTunes and everywhere else, thank you so much for continuing to download this podcast. You can hit up patreon.com/technicalalpha if you want to support the show further. We've got lots and lots to do here internally. We haven't even done retro verses in a long time. We got shit to work out. We got dirty laundry to air out like crazy. So we just gotta work through it all. But we're getting there, and we appreciate everyone's patience and sticking around and listening to these shows. And until we see you guys next week, do us a favor. Have a good one. Let me just get this end screen up and get our current list of Patreons up so I can get this right. The screen isn't necessarily up to date, but I can get the proper list right here. Come on, Patreon. I believe in you. There you go. Hey, guess what? Jetrix, we already know. This dude's paid my child through college at this point. Postal Panda, not too far off in all honesty. Matt Miller, Chico, Martin, Black Jimmy, Toad of Steel, Jorbach, Jamaica Jazz, Adam Barlow, and Derek P. Bless each and every one of you guys. Appreciate it. I'm going to shout out some other ones down here just because of the lifetime that we got going on here. Just extending this. I'm just scrolling down, seeing some of the lifetime. Holy hell. We got some heavy hit. I'm just going to, let's just slate, real quick about it. CMC, Mr. Miyagi, Soft Shoe, William, Granddad's Belt. What else we got here? This is some crazy shit going on. Richard C, Michael T, Hunter, Saren Cloud. Oh, just madness in here. Lars. Dude, we got so many people in here just with just epic lifetime. You guys are all legends. Thank you. You're all producers today. Congratulations. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you once again for stopping by and entertaining our thoughts. And until next time, peace.